Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the greatest live show of all time. That is right, everybody. Today, we're doing yet another episode of whatever the hell this is. For any VOD watchers, I may not. Oh my god, I can't even speak. I may or may not include timestamps in the description below, depending on whether or not we do some segment-oriented stuff. We'll see, we'll see. And with that being said, hello, Desire Arc, and congratulations on being the first person in chat. Hello, Raylan, welcome back. It's very good to see you again as well. But yeah, hello, Sarah Harry. I'm back after a year. Well, it's very good to have you back. Feel free to stick around. You should stick around. We have a lot of riveting stuff, okay? A lot of good content. We just started this stream, literally less than a minute ago. Hello, Femyoz. Hello, Lewis Black. Yes, we're back. Lewis Black. It rhymes. It rhymes with your name. Isn't that wonderful? Hello, Daniel Berry. Good to see you again as well. You always show up at the beginning of streams. I feel like you don't stick around though. You're always you click on the notification, you pop in, you say hi, and then you dip, I think. Or you lurk, I don't know. It's one of those. Hello, Zombie. Hello, Sarah. Saying I've had a lot of hospitalization. I'm really sorry to hear that. Guess who's back? Back again. Yo, true. Hello, Blazed High. It's really good to see you again. Hello, John Holland. Good to see you again as well. Hello, Izuna. Saying hi, Troon. Yo, what's up? Hello, Joy Mahoney. Welcome back. Hello, Conlang Cat. Really good to see you again. I haven't been here in like a year. Yo, dude, we're getting some OGs. I haven't seen you in ages. It's really good to have you back. It's really good to have you back. I love seeing some OGs. Glad to be here. Thanks. Hell yeah. It's always good to have some old viewers. On the track, Lewis Black. On the attack, smoking crack. In the back with a stack, play Return of the Mac. I don't know what any of that means, but thank you for sharing, Lewis Black. Very much appreciated. She got the default femboy arm warmers on. You better believe I do, and there's nothing that anybody can do to stop me. You're hot. Thank you, Soren. I appreciate that. I don't know if I agree with that or not. I don't find myself hot. I guess I'm just not AGP enough. I'm truly just not AGP. Bars? Hell yeah. You might be my favorite TwinCon low-key. Most of my T-girl friends aren't able to transition yet or are young shits. Yeah, fair. Fair. Though, I feel like once I get facial feminization surgery, I'll be less of a TwinCon and just more of a passoid. You know. Time to force fem chat. True. How long have you been on HRT? 2.5 years. As of June 2nd of 2026, it'll be 3 years. So, yeah. I know. Isn't that kind of crazy? Yeah. I think it's like a little bit less than 2.5 years, or a little bit more than 2.5 years now. So I don't know why I was saying a little bit less. That doesn't make sense. I remember a year ago-ish that you were crashing out on some other creators. Who was I crashing out on? I'm actually curious. What would I have been doing? Wow, your eyes are beautiful. What color are your eyes? They're actually gray. Either gray or blue. I think they're gray, though. I still haven't got on it yet. Yeah, fair. Also, hi, Tipster. Good to see you again. Good to see you again. No, don't force Femi. Oh, has already tried. I see. I need to get on it soon. Hell yeah. Your clothes would look better on the floor? Yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. Wow, that's really cool. I started it like a month ago. My friend is supplying me behind my parents' back. Type shit. That's what I'm talking about. Anyways. Came out to my mom today. She supported me. Super happy. Yo, let's go. W Tipster. Common Tipster W. What can I say? A month? What the fuck am I saying? I started in July of last year. I'm dumb. That's gonna be like a lot more than a month. That's like half a year. Almost. That was like 5 months. I think. I don't know. I'm not very good at math. Anyways, my eyes are turquoise and used to be green. I think I'm becoming more Aryan as I age. Yo, that's a crazy sentence. Do you realize how hot you are? I don't really think of myself as particularly hot. Are you religious? No. I believe that religion is a delusion. That's right. How do I sneak 80 kilograms of estrogen into my friend's drink? 80 kilograms is crazy. I think that would kill your friend. I don't think that somebody would be able to survive that. How's it going, Femi? I'm doing all right, Peter. How are you? I hope you're also doing all right, at least, or good, even. I gooned to you. That's a crazy sentence. Hello, Raylan. Good to see you. Hey, it's Megan again. How are you? If people say I look like Megan Trainor, I'll take it as a compliment. She's not bad looking. I'll take it as a compliment. I don't know how true it is. But a year ago you were arguing with religious people in your chat. Yeah, of course I was. That shit was funny as hell. It was great content. Wonderful content, actually. Are you related to... who the fuck is Paul Blart? I don't know who that is. Do you have pants on today? No, but I do got a skirt on, so... close enough. It was, though. Yeah, exactly. It was incredibly entertaining, so that's why I did it. Because it made people mad. It made people so mad. He's Mall Cop? Okay. Dude, I didn't know that I looked like Mall Cop. Is it because I gained weight? Dude. Alright. Not, like, super like her, but I can see why people make the comparison. Yeah, I think she mogs me. Fit check like OG times. You know what? I haven't done a fit check in a while. Yeah, so for anyone that is wondering, ignore the fact that I'm literally fucking obese right now. Fucking look at this. Look at my fucking... Dude, I'm like obese. I need to lose weight. This is my fit. Hope y'all like it. If not, I'm gonna be very sad, okay? And you wouldn't want me to be... You wouldn't want me to be sad. Lift up the skirt is crazy! Low waist them. Looks damn good to me. No. Nah, dude. I haven't tuned in a while, but you look better than ever, IMO. Well, yeah, that's just gonna be because, like, feminine fat redistribution and also, you know, my eyebrows aren't fucking chopped anymore. I used to have really bad eyebrows. That was one of the issues I had, is I didn't know how to do my eyebrows, and eventually I figured it out. But, you know. You are so tea. Thank you, Jenny. I really... sorry, Harry. Sorry, Sarah Harry. Why did I call you Jenny? What the fuck? Am I retarded? Is there like another person? No, I came up out of thin air. You look good to me. It looks good on you, but it would be nicer if it was on the bedroom floor. Anyways. One night with me and you'd be forced to burn the fat. Okay, alright. I see how it is. I wish I had the confidence to actually come out to people. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier said than done. Your eyes are pretty, thank you. Hello, Big Anon, good to see you again. She's tweaking today. How am I tweaking today? Aren't I just acting like my normal self? You look very pretty today. Well, thank you. Thank you. So, did you see the trash post that Michael posted about you? No, is there more Michael Nelson tent? Oh God, I gotta find out. I better find out. You look different today. Is that a good or a bad thing? Is it good or bad that I look different? How? In what ways do I look different? Do I look better, worse, the same? Or like, what? Like, did I look different 4 days ago? Like, not even a day later? Damn. Every time I see you, you get more beautiful. Hell yeah. I can't say, but it's different. Wait, when was the last time you saw me? Was it 4 days ago? Or was it like before then? Or like when was it, a month ago? Like when? I need a reference point. Hold on, let's go to Michael Nelson. Okay, let's go to Michael Nelson, okay? Okay, we need to close that. Posts. Oh, I see. So he cites the MRAW video, saying, there you go, many others are talking about this clown on the internet and it's not good. And it's a video from 2 years ago. Now, for the record, MRAW himself, the guy that made the video on me, on a live stream later said, yeah, the video was dog shit. I don't know why I made this. This is fucking stupid. So I don't know why you would cite that. It's like everyone I get into beef with, you know, cites that as like some sort of own. And then it's like, you know, it's like, I'm sorry, you can't own me when you look like this. Like, this is... I think this is more of a self-own than anything. Like, you trying to own me is pathetic, but you self-owning yourself here, yeah, you got owned by your own channel, where you posted this publicly for people to see. Like, you chose to post this. Why did you choose to post this? Why would you willingly choose to post this? This is disgusting. Anyways. That's you in 10 years if you don't wake up. No, it's not me in 10 years because I'm on this magical substance called hormone replacement therapy. Google Paul Blart, the resemblance is uncanny. I'm scared. Okay, Paul Blart. Oops. No, not shopping. No, not videos. Images. Yeah, the resemblance is uncanny, dude. We look practically identical. I can't spot a single difference between me and Paul Blart. Okay, chat, can you spot the difference? I know I sure can't. They're practically identical. Dude, where did they get this image of me from? Anyways. That was actually me. It's Kevin James, you look nothing like him. I don't know what you're talking about. We look exactly the same. Yes, it's my twin. It's my identical twin. Yeah, it's the same picture. Exactly. Anyways. I think your hair is slightly messier in a way that shows imperfection in a way that works for you. Like the slight messiness that you couldn't even fake if you tried. Maybe. I don't know. I didn't try to make it messy or neat. It's just kind of there. I don't know. Paul Blart is a powerful name. Blartios? Yeah, let's fucking go, dude. Blartios. Hell yeah. Just put on a fake mustache. Yeah, that's all I need, and we'll look exactly the same. You need to stop giving these people... Oh, giving into these people in your comments. Stop doing whatever they ask you. Stop intervening with these fucking narcissists. Okay, but like, it's content, though. It's like, it's engagement. I benefit from engagement. You know, I understand how this works. You'd look really good with the middle part. I would not look very good with the middle part. I've tried it. It looks weird on me. Paul Blart, more like Femyoz fart. Oh, God. Oh, dear Lord. You know, you just know that there's some portion of my audience that wants that. Do you benefit from your HRT? Well, yeah, of course I do. If I didn't benefit from it, then I wouldn't do it. I'm not a narcissist. I wish I was Paul Blart. Yeah, exactly. You aren't already wearing a fake mustache. Looks exactly the same. Utterly identical. Yo, true. Truth nuke. I'm gonna love my son if he's gay. I'm gonna love my son if he's trans. But I will not love my son if he's not getting no bans. Yo. So real. I have a chaser question, but it's 2 NSFW for YouTube chat. Yeah, that's real as fuck. I remember when you did a middle part on stream like a year ago. It looked fine. It looked weird. No, it did not look fine. In what world does that look fine? I don't understand. Anon, please don't spam. Yeah, don't spam. It's bad. Spamming is bad. I agree. I don't even see them spamming, to be honest. Have you had vocal surgery or just training? Just voice training. I can still do this. But yeah, anyways. Hello, young woman. Why, hello. I hope you're doing well. If not, I'm gonna be very sad. Are you an atheist? Kind of, yeah. I'm an agnostic atheist. Anyways, I really need to fucking pee. Holy shit. It's crazy. I actually desperately need to pee. I, like, peed, like, 15 minutes ago. Why do I need to pee again? Anyways, I'll play my second most recent video. And, yeah. I'll do that. I really hate working, even though I'm broke. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I really hate working, even though I'm broke. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that everyone hates working, unless they have a job that they actually want, right? But most people don't have that luxury. I don't know why you're putting it in quotes as if it's a bad thing for them to say that. I think a lot of people hate working, justifiably so. Or people don't work for fun. Women say they're quitting in the middle of layoffs. Really? We're gonna find out.
Having to text your manager that you're going to be late because you're taking your daughter to her first day of school and there was a lot of things going on. It's just like, it's almost like you're a child.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna be a lot of energy spent.
And like, it should just be fine to be late.
Unironically, yeah.
Like, it literally should just be fine to be late unless it's affecting others.
True, unironically true. Like, I'm sorry, but if it's not affecting others, like, who cares? I'm sorry, but if you're, I don't know, doing a dead-end job you hate full-time in order to barely make ends meet, and you have kids that you have to raise, I think it's perfectly reasonable. I don't know what issue he's gonna have with this.
But I have to call and I have to check in with somebody and let them know that I'm gonna be late when I'm doing something perfectly reasonable. I'm getting my daughter to her first day of school. I'm making sure that her father has the car tag so that,
like, yeah, there's just gonna be additional stress. Like, oh yeah, also. Anyways, guys, I actually think that me from that video kind of mogs me currently, low-key. I can't even lie. Anyways, actually, it's kind of close. Kind of close. I look kind of the same, actually. Yes, I washed my hands. Anyways. My take is be trans, but be a bad bitch. Yo, truth nuke. Truth nuke. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. Tommy was calling you a mockery of the trans community. Well, Tommy can go shove an AT&T satellite up his ass. Why do I give a shit about Tommy? Who the fuck is Tommy? I mean, you're named fucking Tommy, dude? Dear lord. Anyways. Let's see. What's your favorite SpongeBob character? I don't know, dude. I don't know. Patrick, because he's pretty epic. He's pretty epic and best. Let's see here. I died of AIDS 5 years ago. I'm a zombie reanimated body. My finger just fell off when I'm still spamming the like button with my nub. It's nice to see with my one rotting eye. Really good stuff. Thank you. Let's have more chat messages like that. Wonderful stuff is happening on the Femyoz YouTube channel today. I love you. You are so cute. Thank you. I love you too, chat. Anyways, I accidentally swiped down and saw some clown from hell. Dear lord. Is it somebody worth covering on the Femyoz YouTube channel? Is it somebody that I should talk about? I don't know. Should I be scared? Should I be scared to talk about that? We love AIDS zombie. Yo, let's fucking go, dude. Let's go. Let's fucking go, dude. I love your old and new style. I don't really think my style has changed that much. Has it? What's my old style? What was it? Femyoz, do you get high? Not usually. Very rarely. Femyoz, what do you do if you wake up without balls and then 3 months later someone tells you they are pregnant with your mid? What? What the fuck does that mean? Anyways. What's a trans girl? I don't understand. Somebody that was assigned male at birth that identifies as a girl / woman. Anyways, so you have a penis? Duh. Obviously. Aren't chokers uncomfortable? No. Why would they be uncomfortable? I mean, if you, like, get, like, a really tight one, or if you, like, have, like, because, like, well, I mean, but, like, the hard chokers, they're adjustable, so if you put it on super tight, then yeah, but, like, not if you put it on at, like, a reasonable amount. Anyways. Oh, I meant the video that you just played? Oh, yeah. I guess there is a stylistic difference. That wasn't even what I was talking about. I'm mainly talking about face card. That's what I was talking about. But yeah. No, Chat, I want to watch a video called Modern Euthanasia Has Roots in Nazi Germany, okay? Because I'm very interested to find out why she thinks that euthanasia is bad. Now, maybe she's going to make a very compelling argument and, you know, convince me, somebody that's, you know, more on the side of pro-euthanasia in cases when it's ethical. So, for instance, if, you know, say you are permanently paralyzed and you don't want to live that life, you should be allowed to get euthanized. Why should you be forced to live against your will? I don't think that anybody should be forced to live against their will for that matter. I think that if somebody doesn't want to exist anymore, that they have a right to not exist anymore. But this person, I'm guessing, is going to disagree with that. But we'll have to see. We'll have to find out together, okay, chat? You know, I don't want to, you know, come to any assumptions that turn out to be wrong. So let's see what she has to say.
Assisted death has a dangerous history steeped in eugenics, and it actually starts in the United States, joins up with Nazi Germany, and is now back on our radar in the modern world.
Oh, really? It's back on our, it's in the modern world. The things that the Nazis did. That sounds very bad. So what is it that they're doing currently that's so bad?
This, of course, leaves us asking, can we separate assisted death from its dark past to provide—
Yes, we can. Just because something has a dark past doesn't automatically mean that it's going to be bad. So, for example, not forcing somebody to live a miserable life against their will. While it might have a dark past and the context of euthanasia, they euthanized people for bad reasons. That doesn't mean that there's no good reasons to euthanize people.
A compassionate ending for people in need, or are we wading into ethically murky waters that may lead us down a dangerous path? Let's look at its history and where we are now to help answer that question.
Okay. All right, let's find out.
Okay, so first, we need to ask, what exactly is eugenics? Well, it's a set of beliefs and practices.
Wait, hold on. You said euthanasia. Euthanasia and eugenics are not the same thing.
That have the aim of improving the genetic quality of the human population. There's actually currently what's being dubbed as modern eugenics going on right now in society, but we'll discuss that later. In America, back in the 1800s and 1900s.
Yeah, but I didn't click on a video to hear about eugenics. Like, yeah, obviously eugenics are going to be bad. I clicked on the video to hear about euthanasia.
This practice was portrayed as improving the genetic quality of the population, but based on
and they obviously used it to justify blatant racism.
Actions of both people and the government. It was actually way more related to preserving the position of the dominant groups in the population, meaning most people targeted by the eugenics movement were actually the poor, disabled, the mentally ill, and certain racial or ethnic minority groups.
That's true.
These categories of people were lumped into a group considered unfit for society, and thus they needed to be removed to protect the genetics of the majority. So although initially eugenics was portrayed as more ethical and positive, a movement that's supposed to benefit everyone, it was actually racist, ableist, and nativist. Now,
yeah, that's true.
Now, American eugenicists generally believe that those of Nordic, Germanic, and Anglo-Saxon descent were genetically superior and supported strict immigration.
Yeah, so what does this have to do with the title of the video, which is euthanasia? I don't care about some other position you have on, like, yeah, obviously eugenics is bad. Like,
segregated
no shit.
marriages and forced sterilization of the unfit. And this movement was big with some large...
Like, can somebody make a video essay without all this bullshit? You don't need to go on a fucking tangent about something that's not in the video title. I clicked on the video, hoping for you to talk about, the thing that's in the title, euthanasia. And here you're talking about eugenics.
Donors like the Carnegie Institution, Rockefeller Foundation, and J.H. Kellogg from the Kellogg family, related to the cereal company. As time passed, large organizations were created to support the cause, and a network of scientists, reformers, and professionals engaged in various national eugenics projects.
Yeah, and that's bad, but what does this have to do with euthanasia and why euthanasia is bad?
To name a few, the American Breeders Association was created, which had members like Alexander Graham Bell, the guy who patented the first
I don't care.
practical telephone, and Stanford President David Starr Jordan. The eugenics movement also
It's just like a bunch of random fucking info dump. Like, just get to the point.
Multiple feminist reformers, the most well-known being Margaret Sanger, the leader of the birth control movement and the founder of the parent organization to Planned Parenthood. As the public began showing support for the eugenics movement, various state legislatures began trying to establish eugenics initiatives. The first state to legalize sterilization was Indiana in 1907, and it wasn't...
Here's my take on sterilization. I think that if somebody wants to get sterilized, they have the right to. If someone wants to get ethically euthanized, they have the right to. I just don't think that it should be something that's forced onto anybody. I don't think that anybody should be forced to get euthanized, and I don't think that anybody should be forced to get sterilized. Notice the distinction there? Ultimately, what I have is the freedom maximizing position. I don't think that sterilization and euthanasia are inherently bad. I just think that, as long as it's a choice that you are allowed to make, but you are also allowed to not make that choice, I think that's fine. Anybody should be able to make that choice if they want.
Just the first state to legalize it in the US. It was actually the first government body in the entire world to legalize it. In 1909, Washington, California, and Connecticut followed close behind with similar laws. The eugenics movement in the US came to a zenith in 1925 when a woman challenged a law in Virginia that said she was going to be sterilized for being feeble-minded. The case made it all the way to the Supreme Court, and in an 8-1 decision...
Yeah, notice how it's bad because she was forcefully going to be sterilized rather than sterilizing herself of her own volition. There's a distinction there. Again, forcing groups of people to be sterilized is bad. Allowing people to get sterilized if they want to is good. Same concept applies for euthanasia. So while it is true that, say, for instance, sterilization and euthanasia, forced sterilization and euthanasia obviously have roots in eugenics, allowing people to choose whether or not they want these things are not going to have roots in eugenics necessarily. Because eugenics doesn't say that you get to choose these things.
The Supreme Court held Virginia had the right to forcibly sterilize someone if it deemed someone unfit to procreate. By the way, this case, it was called Buck v. Bell and has yet to be overturned. In total, over 30 states legalized involuntary sterilization of certain populations, and of all of the states, California had the most extreme program, performing over 4,000 sterilizations and castrations between 1907 and 1925, and hitting almost 10,000 by 1935. Now, of course, all of this was atrocious, tragic, and terrifying, but some eugenicists wanted even more, arguing that the elimination of the unfit was essential in ensuring that their negative traits would not be passed on to future generations. Now, unfortunately for those sadists, but fortunately for everyone else, that idea did not gain much traction in the United States. It really just went absolutely nowhere. But this is where Nazi Germany
You mean like this video that hasn't gotten to the fucking point? We're almost 4 minutes in.
comes into play, because where the US left off, Hitler picked up. And I don't want to say that Hitler got all of his muse from the US, because he didn't. Eugenics began in Germany after World War I, and Hitler read a lot of eugenics-related texts during the Weimar years, which he later incorporated into Mein Kampf. But he did credit America's eugenics program and movement as part of his
That's awesome. Can you get to the fucking point?
inspiration for his eugenics laws he later implemented in Germany. In the early 1930s, state-sponsored sterilization began as the Weimar Republic slowly disappeared. These laws did not require sterilization, but they definitely encouraged it. And when
Yeah, I don't think that it should be encouraged. I think that you should be allowed to do it if you want.
Hitler took power in 1933, compulsory sterilization of the unfit quickly became official policy in Germany.
Yes, and that's bad because it's anti-freedom. You're forcing people to do something against their will.
More specifically, the law called the Law for the Prevention of Genetically Diseased Offspring required the compulsory sterilization of people with hereditary or congenital feeble-mindedness, schizophrenia, bipolar disease, hereditary epilepsy, Huntington's disease, hereditary blindness, hereditary deafness, malformation, and severe alcoholism. Patients with any of these were sent to hereditary health courts by their primary doctors, which were really just eugenics health courts. And this really highlights right here how integrated the government was with doctors and the medical field in Germany at this time. Doctors reported right to the
Wow, it's almost as if the government shouldn't be intertwined with medical institutions. Holy shit, who would have guessed?
government confidential patient information. Between the years of 1933 and 1939, German physicians forcibly sterilized 360,000 to 375,000 people. But of course, Nazi Germany did not stop there and actually went on to incorporate euthanasia into their program. Now, euthanasia means good death and is usually understood today as bringing about a merciful death for the terminally or irreversibly ill who are suffering.
Yes, but the key distinction is that you should be able to choose whether or not you get euthanized. Nobody should be euthanized against their will. That's the fundamental distinction.
But that is not at all how Nazi Germany used it, although that's definitely how they try to make it look. Surprisingly, to me at least, prior to the Third Reich, advocacy for a large-scale and state-sponsored euthanasia program was present in Germany, although not largely supported. Two men, Karl Binding and Alfred Hock, published a book called Permitting the Destruction of Life Unworthy of Living in 1920, where they introduced the idea of people who have a life unworthy of living and the legalization of mercy killings of those.
Yeah, I think that it should be legal to mercy kill people that consent to it. Yeah, I don't see the problem with that as long as the people that are getting mercy killed want it. Now, if they don't want it, then yeah, that's just murder at that point, in which case it's unjustified.
People. Their argument revolved around the idea that the burden on society by having to care for those individuals was too high, and their human status was just too low, and that it was appropriate to kill these populations for the greater good. So the state—
And then that's where they're wrong, because that's just the anti-freedom position.
It was actually already a bit prepped or set for Hitler to come in and just expand on it. So then in 1938, a huge case came about that launched state-sponsored euthanasia into the forefront of the Third Reich's agenda. A father of an infant born blind, with a malformed brain, and with one arm and part of one leg missing, asked Hitler for the right to a mercy death for his son.
Yeah, so the issue I have with that is the son doesn't have a say in that case. And that's why it's wrong. Because I don't think that you as a parent get to decide, oh yeah, now that I've, created this fully sentient life form, now I get to just fucking kill it, right? Now, obviously, it's going to be distinct from, say, for instance, an abortion within the first 26 weeks of a pregnancy, in which it's a non-sentient life form and therefore warrants no moral consideration. Right? It doesn't warrant moral consideration within the first 26 weeks of a pregnancy at all, right? I think that goes without saying. But, like, you didn't get an abortion. You willingly had the child. And now you want to kill a sentient life form. Now, if that sentient life form wants to kill itself, if it doesn't want to exist anymore, then I believe that it has every right to. But the issue I have is that that decision was being made on their behalf, and that's the fundamental error with what they were doing.
Hitler himself read the petition and granted the killing. In support of this decision, Hitler's personal physician argued that this procedure was already widely practiced in German hospitals where doctors in maternity wards performed euthanasia in specific circumstances and no one ever talked about it. So how is this
What are the specific circumstances and were they justified? You'd have to give us examples.
any different? And okay, quick pause now because I want to ask this so we can think about it. In this situation, would you consider this euthanasia?
Well, I would consider it an unjustified killing because the child in that case has no say in the matter, despite being a sentient life form.
Would you consider it a good death? Okay, sit back, remove it from Nazi Germany, and consider what this child was going through. Was this an acceptable practice?
No, I think that if it's the case that the child wanted to die, then it would be. But because there was no evidence to suggest that they did, it was not justified.
I'd say most people would say no, because the child was a minor and was unable to decide for themselves.
Well, no, if they decided, even as a minor, that they did not want to exist anymore and that they wanted to be ethically euthanized, then I think it would have been perfectly justified. The issue was that it was the father of the child arguing for that on their behalf. And that's the issue that I had.
But you'll hear some modern facts later on in this video that may surprise you. Or not, we'll see. Wait around and figure it out. Anyways, I want to keep going here because my next question is, what if the child was an adult? Is that acceptable?
Yes, if they make a decision for themselves, regardless of how old they are, yes, nobody should be forced to live. That is acceptable.
More people would say yes here, especially those who support assisted death.
Well, hold on. The issue I have is not whether or not, you know, they're a child or not. The issue I have is in the example you brought up, it was the father saying that they wanted their son to be euthanized and not the kid himself saying that he wanted to be euthanized. So why are you equating these two different scenarios? It's like, this doesn't make fucking sense.
But can we see where what's acceptable can slowly over time turn into the unacceptable given the circumstances?
Well, it's not a matter of whether or not it's socially acceptable. It's a matter of whether or not it's morally justifiable. And in the case of somebody deciding that they don't want to exist anymore, yes, it's morally justifiable.
Okay, let me give you a hypothetical. What if the wait list for a doctor to treat a debilitating illness is just too long? Can the adult choose euthanasia in its stead?
Yes, of course. Why wouldn't they be able to? Why should they be forced to live if they don't want to?
We can see now where things get murky and why
No, it's not murky. Nobody should be forced to live against their will. What are we talking about?
some are raising a red flag on assisted death, especially
No, that's not a red flag. People shouldn't be forced to live.
state-sponsored assisted death, like what we see in Canada. But let's get back to the history of this before we dive into that, because as I'm telling you the story, we are watching a system slowly inch towards outright and aggressive genocide. So, following this pivotal case,
Yeah, so the difference is going to be that these people aren't consenting.
Hitler told his personal physician to proceed in a similar fashion towards other incurably ill children and establish a formal euthanasia program. This program became official in 1939 when
Yeah, and the problem with it is that none of these people are choosing to die. They're being killed by the state. That's the issue. If they were choosing to die, then that would be different.
Hitler issued a decree commissioning doctors to perform mercy killings on those who were judged incurably sick by medical examination.
Well, no, it shouldn't be on that basis. It should be on the basis of whether or not they want to die. It's very simple. It's the freedom maximizing position.
But Hitler stopped short. You can't introduce extreme changes all at once, although this is really extreme. It gets more extreme. So he decided to restrict it. You could only kill the very young, specifically newborns or children up to the age of 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid. It's obviously going to be the case that, no, you shouldn't kill them like that. It's if they want to die, right? Which generally you would, if anything, want to wait till they're older, then they should have the right to. But it is not the right of the state to arbitrarily decide who they want to kill without the consent of who is being killed.
Following this decree, the first set of mercy deaths involved 5,000 children being killed by starvation, exposure in unheated wards, or the administration of cyanide, chemical warfare agents, or other poisons.
Yet notice how this is not something that people who are in favor of the right to die would ever be in favor of, because that's not the right to die, that's the lack of the right to live. People that are in favor of people having the right to die are also in favor of people having the right to live. That's the whole point of it being a decision, but these kids didn't have a decision. Therefore, they were never given a right. It was forced upon them. And that's the fundamental distinction here. And that's the error in this person's reasoning.
But like I said, Hitler implemented this slowly to normalize the practice. So the next move was to expand the program to include adults in mental hospitals. Now this was in part eugenics, but also it was used to free up space in hospitals for soldiers who suffered injuries in the war. Once adults were added to the list of victims, the overall program was given the codename Action T4.
But again, the issue is these people aren't choosing to die. So that has nothing to do with, the right to die. Because it's not a right if it's being forced upon you.
And this is where the government and hospital really worked in concert. Midwives and doctors had to report all cases of children with serious hereditary diseases to the Reich Health Ministry. And doctors had to report adult patients with certain diseases, those deemed mentally ill, or patients who had been institutionalized for at least 5 years. And I do want to say that not every doctor was aware of what they were doing. These reports looked like basic medical questionnaires, and some doctors believed they were used for scientific research. Nonetheless, historian Michael Cater claimed that physicians became Nazified more thoroughly and much sooner than any other profession, and as Nazis, they did more in service of the nefarious regime than any of their extra-professional peers. So, with that, it does seem like many were in on it, and okay with it. Okay, now I'm going to do another pause to insert just some thoughts here. Just because the medical community says something is right does not always mean it's right, and I'm not
Yet nobody is saying that no one is saying that the medical community is right no matter what under all circumstances, obviously. You're just like arguing against the voices inside of your head.
saying in relation to actual scientific facts like how you need to drink more water. Seriously, go get a glass of water right now. But I'm talking about more pervasive ideologies, especially ones that are at the forefront of cutting-edge medical technology or theories. We need...
But like, that's not a medical theory, that's a philosophical one. We're not describing medical issues, we're describing philosophical/ethical ones.
We need to keep our wits about us. And just remember, the medical community has been persuaded to do terrible things in the past. It can still happen nowadays. Okay.
Okay, yeah. What's your point? That doesn't necessarily mean that the right to die is bad, because what if bad things happen? Okay, yeah, if bad things happen, then that would be bad. But the right to die itself is not bad, so why would you argue against that?
Anyways, let's get back to it. Based solely on these questionnaires the doctors filled out, a panel of 3 medical experts would judge whether the patient needed treatment, aka killing, or whether postponement or observation was necessary.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that the people themselves aren't deciding whether or not they get to live or die. It's people deciding on their behalf, and that's the error.
But the program was set up to encourage the judges to prescribe killing. They would then kill the patient using strong sedatives or morphine, forge a false death certificate, and provide that to the family. Now, this entire program was largely hidden from the German public for years, but knowledge of it increased in 1940 and 1941. It appears the program ended when Hitler ordered its termination in August of 1941. But this ending of the euthanasia program actually occurred just as the killing in the concentration camps began. In addition, a decentralized killing campaign continued throughout the hospitals, and the murder of the unfit also started in concentration camps under a new program called...
Yeah, what does this have with the right to die? Like, get to the point. You're saying modern euthanasia has roots in Nazi Germany, but you're not able to establish how one necessarily equates to the other. Like, yeah, euthanasia has been used for things that are bad. Okay, that doesn't mean that it's always bad, right? This has nothing to do with the right to die, obviously, because these people don't have any rights. They're not choosing to die. They're being killed against their will without any say in the matter. And that's obviously the issue, is that they're not consenting.
14F13. So if you combine T4, 14F13, and other related euthanasia programs, Nazi Germany killed between 200,000 and 300,000 people under its euthanasia campaign.
None of which were consenting to it.
And here is when we have to look at this through our modern lens and apply it to modern topics, specifically to the debate raging around assisted death. Because
it's about fucking time.
What we witnessed was a bunch of small steps along a slippery slope that led to a mass genocide.
So what your argument is the slippery slope fallacy. You've just acknowledged at this point in the video that your entire argument is predicated upon a logical fallacy. Isn't that awesome?
A progression from encouraged eugenic sterilization to forced eugenic sterilization.
Yeah, except in this case, it's not eugenics, it's people having the right to die regardless of what their genes are. You could have perfect genes, quote unquote, according to eugenicists, and still have the right to not live anymore. Because all of it is a matter of whether or not you're consenting. That's going to be the #1 variable.
Then to mercy killing of severely disabled children, to then killing both children and adults for a wide variety of reasons.
Yeah, notice how none of those people in Nazi Germany were consenting to it. That's the difference.
And throughout it, it was framed as mercy. It was a twisted ideology hiding behind the false pretense of compassion. Because here's the thing. We are actually witnessing a potential slippery slope with modern assisted death.
Well, it's obviously not very compassionate to kill people that don't want to die.
Right now. Now let me explain this, okay? Because assisted death was introduced as facilitating a good death in already dying patients who
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Were terminally and irreversibly ill. And
like, what do you want them to do? Fucking suffer longer? Like, what are we talking about? Why should people be forced to suffer against their will? If they want to die, let them. Nobody should be forced to suffer. People don't choose to exist.
also experiencing pain and suffering. But here's the issue with laws that are both inclusive and exclusive, in that they are inclusive only to a certain degree and then they exclude large numbers of people. Those excluded
I think that they should be all inclusive and that everybody should have the right to die.
argue that they should be included for any variety of reasons. They argue that their rights are not being upheld or respected. And then in response to that, the government expands the criteria to include more people. But
Yeah, and that's a good thing because everybody should have the right to die if they want.
as this keeps going, we have over-inclusion and a lot of collateral damage.
Well, how is it over-inclusion? Why should people be forced to suffer? It doesn't make any sense.
And that's what has been happening with assisted death. So we have seen a move away from narrow inclusion criteria to broader criteria that encompasses
Yeah, and that's bad because why exactly?
the non-terminally ill, those with chronic disease, reversible, treatable disease, and mental illnesses. On top of this, we have seen a progression from voluntary euthanasia to reliance on advanced directives or
Yeah, I don't think that it should be involuntary. That's what I've been saying is yes, obviously euthanasia should be perfectly obviously euthanasia should be 100% voluntary on the end of the person being euthanized. If it's not, then it's not ethical.
previous statements in cases like if a patient has dementia. And we've also seen a progression towards euthanasia of infants and children in limited circumstances. To break this down further, let me give you some examples, because I just gave you all these things that are occurring, but I don't have examples to back it up. Here are the examples to back it up. California, Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, New Mexico, New Jersey, Maine, Vermont, Washington, Delaware, Montana, and DC all have death with dignity statutes allowing
Okay, problem.
physician involvement in assisted death. Canada legalized assisted
Yeah, and why is this bad? You're saying this, but you're not explaining why it's bad. Make a fucking argument.
death in 2016 under the MAID Act, and then expanded MAID eligibility in 2021. They're considering opening up MAID eligibility to include those with mental illnesses in March of 2027.
That's great and all, but you haven't described why any of this is bad. I mean, this all sounds great.
And there's been a lot of controversy around Canada's MAID program because there have been reports of potential abuse. In 2024,
Okay, yeah, obviously the abuse is going to be bad, but at the same time, people should have the right to die.
in 20 deaths were because of MAID. When looking at Canada's annual report, people found that
Were the people consenting to death? Did the 20 people want to die? That should be what you're looking at. If not, then yeah, that's going to be a problem. But if they all wanted to die, then what's the issue?
4% of those who were approved for MAID did not have a terminal diagnosis or
Yeah, and who fucking cares? Why should they be forced to live? Why should people be forced to suffer? Nobody should be forced to suffer against their will. This is such a ridiculous position. The idea that because you were born, you therefore are obligated to suffer and have a miserable life that you fucking hate, where you're miserable 24/7. Why? Why should anybody be forced to suffer against their will? It makes no logical sense whatsoever.
reasonably foreseeable death, and nearly 23% of people reported isolation or loneliness as a
Yeah, and that doesn't make them less worthy of having a basic, fundamental human right. Once again, we didn't choose to be born, so we have the right to die. That is a basic human right.
reason for seeking euthanasia. And medical practitioners reported that
Yet notice how they were seeking euthanasia? Meaning that they, were consenting to it?
50% of people requested it because of being a perceived burden on family, friends, or caregivers. There have also been reports of people feeling pressure to participate in MAID and other
Obviously, nobody should feel pressured to do it. And if you're pressuring somebody into it, then yeah, you're going to be in the wrong there. But if people are doing it of their own volition because their lives are miserable, they have every right to.
Others have pointed out the extremely long wait times for medical help may push people to seek MAID as an alternate solution.
Yeah, and I think that that's perfectly reasonable.
Belgium allows
Now, obviously, I think that the wait times should be mitigated. I'm obviously going to have that position. But if, for whatever reason, they can't be mitigated, and you don't want to live with whatever illness it is, you shouldn't be forced to. Why should people be forced to suffer? Why does this person think it's okay to have the human suffering maximizing position? Why are you okay with the maximization of human suffering? It doesn't make sense.
for assisted death without any requirements and has legalized assisted death of children who have a terminal illness.
Yeah, why? Why is that bad? You're just saying it and expecting us to think it's a bad thing. But again, you haven't presented a single logical argument. My argument is that it's good because it minimizes human suffering and is therefore a net positive because nobody should be forced to suffer against their will when they didn't even choose to be born in the first place.
are in great pain and understand the procedure. Belgium also allows euthanasia in patients with mental illnesses, and one can use an advance directive to provide.
Yeah, what? Because you should be forced to live with your mental illnesses that are debilitating and make your life impossible to enjoy and make you want to kill yourself 24/7? You should just be forced to live anyway? Ridiculous.
Prior consent. In the Netherlands, a patient who is in chronic pain, who will not recover, and who is fully aware of the situation can request active euthanasia, and this request can be made by children as young as 12 years old.
And that's bad because why exactly? Why should you be forced to suffer as a 12-year-old? Like, how does that make it any more justifiable to force somebody to suffer? Oh, well, you're 12, so it's actually justified if I make you suffer for no fucking reason at all.
But if they are between the ages of 12 and 16, they must have parental permission. Now, despite these age restrictions,
I don't think that you should even necessarily require parental permission for that. I think that if it's your life, you get to decide.
The Netherlands has decriminalized euthanasia for infants that have a hopeless prognosis and intractable pain.
Yes, that's reasonable. Why should they be forced to suffer?
Switzerland has actually the most lenient laws in the world, the only restriction being if the person advocating for assisted death stands to gain anything from the person's death.
Yeah? That seems reasonable.
No diagnosis is needed. There is no age limit, and there is no residency requirement. Active
Yeah? Problem?
euthanasia is prohibited, but they can provide lethal medications. And also, random fact, but Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman and the writer of Thinking Fast and Slow flew to Switzerland in 2024 to use their assisted death program, and he told his friends and family about it, or about this decision, via email while flying or on his way to Switzerland. So, just an example of somebody with a different residency flying to Switzerland. A lot of people see this as tourism or tourism.
Okay.
I don't know which way I was supposed to say that one, but you know what I'm saying. Now, those are not all the laws in the entire world, but those are some of the big ones that show the flexibility and also the complexity of assisted death laws. And
Yeah, and you haven't described why any of this is bad.
I think this is where we can start thinking critically and ask questions about where we are right now. And we can't necessarily extract this from eugenics, because not only does it have a history in eugenics, but some could argue it is also still related to eugenics in the modern world, in that the concept of assisted death creates a societal belief that some people do not have lives worth living, that they
Yeah, that's true though. Yes, if you experience more suffering than pleasure, then yeah, your life probably isn't worth living. For example, I would consider my life to not be worth living. The only reason I still exist isn't on the basis of a rational analysis of whether or not my life is worth living. I know it's not, because I have done a rational analysis. The only reason I haven't ended it is because I'm a fucking pussy. It's really that simple. But yes, I deserve the right to be able to end my life whenever I want. Why should that be taken away from me?
are burdens on society, and that the best way to handle them is through a...
It's not even a matter of whether or not I'm a burden to society. It's a matter of whether or not my life is worth living. On the basis of whether or not I experience a net positive or negative qualia.
good death. And we see similar language between Nazi Germany's euthanasia and modern euthanasia as well.
No, it's not even fucking close. The reason I'm in favor of modern euthanasia is because I'm a utilitarian. A utilitarian would not be in favor of anything that Nazi Germany was doing in terms of eugenics or euthanasia and the way that they were doing it and forcing it upon people that weren't asking for it.
Such as the term mercy, the idea that this kind of death is a form of compassion.
It can be in some instances, yes. It's actually not always going to be the case that it's bad. It's only bad when you're forcing it upon people that don't ask for it.
We also have the rise of modern eugenics, which we cannot ignore right now. It says innocuous.
Yeah, what does that have to do with modern euthanasia? These are not connected.
It says sex selection and genetic screening or testing, but it's starting to evolve into the creation of designer babies. A California startup called Bootstrap Bio is working on tech to change the DNA in an embryo to make genetically modified children.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
To eliminate inherited disease.
Yes, why would you be against that? Why do you want people to have more diseases? Are you fucking retarded?
And also enhance desirable traits.
Yeah, why is that bad? Yes, obviously, as a person, you're generally going to want to have traits that are considered more desirable, and you're not going to want to have diseases. Why would you want diseases? Like, you're arguing that suffering and diseases are good. It's insane. You don't even realize you're doing it.
But those in favor of modern eugenics point out that this form of eugenics puts the power in the hands of the individual, giving them autonomy over their reproductive capabilities, not the
Yes, exactly.
government. And it's focused on genetic health, not a superior race.
Exactly. Exactly. So does that really count as eugenics?
And so people then argue that this form
This isn't eugenics. This is transhumanism. These are fundamentally distinct.
of eugenics is different than old eugenics, and it's not
I wouldn't even call it eugenics. It's just transhumanism.
unethical, nor is it immoral. This means, when
Yeah, what's your moral argument against what you just described?
we put this all together, that we have a rise in assisted death that is more or less occurring the same time as modern eugenics is really taking off. And I can see how assisted
Yeah, but like based on what you described, make a moral argument against it instead of calling it eugenics. You know, maybe instead of labeling it a certain way, maybe make an argument for why it's immoral. You can't because there isn't one.
death and modern eugenics may be related, but also how they can be very different. I can also see common patterns playing out between Nazis,
Also, the two things that you mentioned are A, not related, and B, both of the things you listed as being bad in modern society are good. You haven't given any arguments for why they're bad. You're just like, well, that's like what the Nazis did, except not even fucking close. Like, what are we talking about? The Nazis removed people's agency. It stripped people's agency away. What you're describing now in modern society is something that maximizes our agency as individual people. It is the literal fucking opposite of what occurred in Nazi Germany. And to compare these things is genuinely repulsive and an insult to all of the people that were ruthlessly murdered in Nazi Germany.
euthanasia program and current euthanasia programs. But at the same time, I see major differences too. I also think it depends on the country or the system in place. So I'm going to leave you guys with some questions and thoughts to help us think critically about this situation. Okay. Modern euthanasia programs have way more transparency than the programs implemented during Nazi Germany, and I think that's a huge difference. But is this transparency enough to legalize it?
Yes, obviously, no shit.
Is this moving towards more autonomy and equality, or may it lead us down a dangerous, slippery slope?
No, it's more autonomy. It's obviously the case that we have more autonomy, like objectively. Allowing us to make more decisions about ourselves and our lives is objectively more autonomy than not being able to do that. Like, just by definition.
Are some things so bad that even if we want it, we shouldn't do it? And then we
Wait, shouldn't do it or have the right to do it? There's a distinction.
Canada, which is facing a lot of problems because of how involved the government is in its assisted death program, and because of its interest in expanding its criteria. I think when we have the government so entrenched in healthcare, we can start seeing potential problems. For example,
Right, but private corporations are great.
like I mentioned, the long wait times, plus the offer of MAID, allowing people who would otherwise receive help from government-funded institutions to choose MAID because they can't bear the wait time, really takes the pressure off.
Yeah, but getting rid of MAID wouldn't Getting rid of MAID wouldn't magically decrease the wait time, you fucking idiot. So they're either going to experience X amount of suffering or they can get euthanized and not experience that. And if they choose to get euthanized in order to avoid suffering, there's nothing wrong with that decision. They have every right to make that.
The government, doesn't it? Pressure that citizens need the government to feel so that it actually fixes the wait time problems. Start seeing an issue here, right? So then I ask, should assisted death be completely privatized?
No, I don't think it should be completely privatized. I think it should be available publicly.
But then will it become so expensive that only the rich can afford it, thus leaving those struggling the most in our society without reprieve? And while the government may not be involved, do we consider societal pressure strong enough to make assisted death dangerous even if it's privatized? And also, if we make it illegal, what about those who truly are facing a terminal illness, in insufferable pain, and are trapped here, waiting to die?
Yeah, that's true. Why should people have to experience unnecessary suffering?
Should we offer people dignity in their death? Don't autonomous humans get to choose if they want to live or die, or how they want to die?
Yes.
But if so, how do we stop it from expanding or being abused? And
Why would you want to stop it from expanding? Like, what are we talking about? Everybody deserves the right to die if they want.
lastly, does the rise in modern eugenics create a societal shift that will
What you described was not modern eugenics. You described the transhumanism. You literally said, well, modern eugenics is when they edit the DNA in order to make them have less diseases. Okay? What you described sounds like a good thing. That's not eugenics. That's just, transhumanism. Fundamentally different. Not the same thing at all. What? Do you want your kid to have more diseases when you have the option to make them have less? Like, what are we talking about?
further ostracize people who are not deemed designer enough to such a
No, nobody should be ostracized for any of that. That doesn't make any fucking sense. But also at the same time, if there's an option to edit people's DNA so that they don't get diseases that they otherwise would, why would you not edit their DNA to make their lives better? Why would you deliberately do the thing that would give them fucking cancer or make their lives worse tangibly. Why is this even a debate? It's so fucking obvious.
Point that they are pressured into assisted death because their genes were not edited to perfection, because they are now considered a burden on society?
No, that would not be the take that you would have. What are we talking about?
And how will this affect those who can't afford designer babies? I think these are all things.
Well, I think that would be something that would need to be subsidized by the government itself.
Things we need to consider as we move forward in a world where tech is ever advancing and where humans are continuing to wrestle with what it means to actually live in a free society.
The only reason this would ever be a problem is because of capitalism.
But before I go, I have a request from you guys. Please leave a question below that you think we should all consider, similar to the ones I just gave you.
Why are your eyes so far apart and pointing in two opposite directions? That's my question for you.
Because
I'm sorry, that was mean.
I want to do some brainstorming on what else we need to deliberate on when it comes to assisted death, modern eugenics,
Every question you asked has the most fucking obvious answer imaginable.
and the history of it. And so I'd love to hear how this topic got you thinking and what you want to hear from other people. So with that, I want to thank you guys for watching, and in the meantime, stay curious. Bye.
Thank you, Sid from Ice Age. Very cool. Anyways, that video was fucking horrible. Trying to equate Nazi shit to things that are actually beneficial to society. Saying that editing genes to make it so that people end up with less diseases. It's fucking diabolical. Well, let's see. What do the comments have to say? Let's see. What are the comments? Are the comments being based? Our pets are euthanized when they are terminally sick and in pain. Like, if they have an aggressive cancer or brain tumor, humans deserve the same dignity. True. This is the slippery slope logical fallacy. Also true. Your video does the classic move. Take a real historical horror, eugenics, Nazi euthanasia, quote unquote, then use it as a blunt instrument to apply that any modern assisted dying policy is basically one bad committee meeting away from genocide. That's not being cautious. That's category error plus moral panic. You're mixing up two opposite things, coercion versus consent. Eugenics was the state deciding whose lives were unfit and taking control over other people's bodies. Modern assisted dying is done ethically. Sorry, when it's done ethically, is the individual deciding what happens with their own body. Those are not cousins, they're enemies. If your argument can't distinguish, we will kill you because society says you're a burden, from I want to die because I am suffering and this is my choice, then your argument isn't complex, it's confused. Slippery slope isn't an argument, it's a prediction that you didn't prove. You keep saying it starts small and expands. Sure, some eligibility criteria broaden over time, but you skip the part where you have to actually show that broadened eligibility equals coercion, increased access equals people being pushed, autonomy equals genocide. That's not analysis, it's vibes with footnotes. Here is a reality check. More people using a legal option doesn't automatically mean abuse. It can also mean people finally have access. Doctors understand the process. Stigma is dropping. Reporting improves. Suffering is being taken seriously. 3. Canada. You cherry pick numbers like they're a horror trailer. You cite 1 in 20 deaths and immediately talk about that number as if it's self-evidently sinister. It isn't. A statistic isn't an argument. If made as legal, accessible, and transparent, usage will rise. That doesn't prove coercion. If you want to argue coercion, you need to show systemic pressure, not just more people chose it. And yes, there are legitimate concerns in Canada. Poverty, disability supports, wait times, isolation. But the conclusion from that is not ban assisted dying. The conclusion is fix the conditions that make people suffer and feel trapped while preserving the right to choose. Your what if the wait list is too long point is backwards. If someone seeks MAID because they can't access adequate care, that is a healthcare failure and a social support failure. The fix is better access to treatment, better disability support, better housing, better pain care, better mental health services. Not, therefore, nobody gets autonomy and everyone must endure. You're basically arguing, since some people might be cornered by poverty, nobody gets an exit. That's like banning divorce because some people are financially dependent. Nazi Germany didn't prove assisted death is dangerous. Nazi euthanasia, quote unquote, wasn't assisted dying. It was murder framed as medicine. It wasn't patient choice. It wasn't informed consent. It wasn't transparent oversight. It was a state project to eliminate targeted groups. Bringing up T4 as if it's morally equivalent to a competent adult choosing a peaceful death is like bringing up forced sterilization to argue against contraception. Same vocabulary, completely different moral structure. 6. The real ethical line is consent. Plus safeguards, not never. If you actually care about preventing abuse, then argue for strong consent standards, independent assessments, mandatory waiting periods where appropriate, robust palliative care access, disability and poverty protections, clear rules against suggesting MAID as a cost-saving option, review boards and transparent reporting. Instead, you mostly do, look, Nazis existed, therefore be scared. 7. Modern eugenics and designer babies are a separate issue. Embryo editing startups are a whole different debate. Markets, inequality, regulation, bioethics. Trying to stitch that onto assisted dying like a cinematic universe of doom is storytelling, not reasoning. 8. Bodily autonomy includes the right to stop. People aren't property of the state. They're not hostages to cultural discomfort about death. If someone is suffering and they are competent, informed, and persistent in their choices, they should not have to jump off of bridges, traumatize strangers, risk botched attempts, beg a medical system to let them stop. A humane society doesn't force people to die violently just to satisfy an abstract moral rule about staying alive. Bottom line, eugenics was about power over others. Ethical assisted dying is about choice over oneself. If you can't separate those, you're not educating anyone. You're turning history into a jump scare. And if you want to question for the comments like you asked, why is protecting people from a hypothetical slippery slope treated as more important than protecting competent adults from guaranteed suffering they explicitly do not consent to endure? Holy shit. This person cooked the ever-living fuck out of this YouTuber. This argument is basically Nazis invented Volkswagen and Fanta, therefore cars and soda are evil. True. Anyways, I think the comments speak for themselves. I'm glad that people in the comments are grilling the fuck out of them. I mean, these are all the arguments that I made, but far more coherent and well-written, obviously, because they had more time to think about it. I was just replying to shit on the spot. And yeah, that video was fucking horrible. Spreads a lot of dog shit, harmful ideas, like you should be forced to live against your will even though it makes you miserable. And yeah, with that being said, that'll do it for this segment. And yeah, smash like and subscribe. All right, anyways, I really need to pee again. So I'm going to play my own video again. So yeah, be right back. Enjoy the goy slop while I pee. While I'm doing this other stressful shit and making sure that, you know, my daughter gets to school, her first day of school, you know, I also have to make sure to, you know, call my job. Yeah, it's a lot of things piling up on top of each other. It's like a very reasonable thing to be stressed about. Yeah, if you're on TikTok, you might vent about it.
When he picks her up, they know that she belongs to him. I shouldn't have to check in and let someone know about that. And then I miss all day with my kids to come in here and earn not even a living.
No, literally.
And I missed all that time. I can't even take off to go have lunch with my kid. Like, I can't even, by the time I get home, I'm so drained, I can't even enjoy my kid.
I mean, yeah, these are very reasonable complaints that people have about 9-to-5 jobs. So I don't know why he's showing this.
And like, I just wonder what that does to our children psychologically, you know? And we talk about it a lot on this app, like, why didn't our parents try harder to level up for us to have a better life? Like, a lot of our parents fucked off, and I'm seeing how I'm repeating that cycle because I'm at this dead-end job. I'm not respected. I'm not looked after. Nobody gives a shit.
I mean, these are like very reasonable concerns that she has, very reasonable things to vent about. I don't think that anybody would be happy in this situation.
And I'm giving my time for money just to be able to pay bills, not to have anything extra.
Like nobody is happy to barely make ends meet, okay? That's not a good way to live, right? But sadly, a lot of people live like that because they have no choice. This isn't a choice.
And I gotta check in with somebody.
Anyways, where were we? Yeah, usually I go to the piss store. That's true. I drank a lot of water today, yeah. Anyways, no piss drawer this time. Yo, truth nuke. Oh my god, you're so right, dude. We should have done a piss drawer. Piss to our segment. Anyways. Where was I? Yeah, it's like the fourth time. I know. I had to pee a bunch. I know, crazy. Is Femi okay? That much urinating is not healthy. I have OAB. So it is what it is. Anyways, I can promise you won't even realize the ones wanting to die finally got freedom for a life prison. 8 billion people versus 1 million or 2. This planet needs less humans on it by a long shot. It's not even about how many humans the planet needs or needs to not have or whatever. It's not a matter of overpopulation. You're looking at variables that are kind of irrelevant here. It's just a fact of the matter that nobody should be forced to live against their will. Like, why should people be forced to exist when they don't want to? It's like I didn't consent to being born. Why should I be forced to have the only methods of suicide be ones that are fucking terrible? Like, why do I need to fucking, like, why can't I just get ethically euthanized? Debating the ethics of government-assisted suicide is mental masturbation 2026. Why? Because it's just like such an easy topic to win when you're me and you have the objectively correct position. I attempted and I'm glad I survived. Good for you. I don't care. Either way, I don't think that anybody should be forced to exist. Now, granted, I don't think that you should be able to, like, go to the doctor on day 1, right? I don't think you should be able to, like, within a day get fucking euthanized, right? I think that it should be like, okay, here's, like, a waiting period to make sure that you are making the correct decision, right? So it's not something you do on a whim, right? It's something that is a consistent decision that somebody wants to make. It's not some, like, you know, occasional, I'm fucking, you know, doing this shit on a whim, right? Also, a lot of the time, the people that are glad that they survived, they generally didn't plan it out very well because they were doing it, well, on a whim. They weren't doing it on the basis of a rational decision, so they didn't have enough time to think about it. Whereas with me, if I were to do it, I actually already have a plan on exactly what I would do. I would not fail. But anyways. No, if you think government should be assisting the death of their citizens, you don't belong in this conversation. Okay, explain to me why I should be forced to suffer. Why should I be forced to live? Can you explain why somebody should be forced to suffer? And why that's a good thing? I'd like to know. I'd love to know, actually. I'd be very, very curious to hear. Anyways, progress is progress. Honestly, if transitioning is the only thing that alleviates dysphoria, it is better than not. While therapy helps some, it isn't really reliable. True. Legit question, how do you know you were trans instead of gay? Well, but I am gay for women, for starters, and second of all, because I have dysphoria. Because I was, you know, seeing how masculine I looked made me want to fucking rip the skin off my fucking face. I wanted to tear my skin off every time I saw myself in the mirror and was quite literally suicidal. Anyways. No debate, but the choker eats girl, thank you. She's correct here, my attempts were spontaneous, despite long-lasting mental health issues. Yeah, exactly. If they weren't spontaneous, they would have been more successful. I know detransitioning is rare, but I know suicide rates increase, if I remember right, for a short time instead of decreasing. When you transition, no, it goes down when you transition. Like when you have access to things like HRT and you're socially accepted. And if you're socially accepted, have access to HRT, etc., your suicide rate as a trans person goes down drastically. Your mental health improves. All of the mental health indicators are far better when you're given access to that. To each their own, no one should be forced to suffer. There should be a support and mental evaluation to seek an alternative before proceeding, but yes, this should not be illegal. Yeah, obviously, if there is an alternative, that, you know, prevents suffering, then yeah, obviously that's going to be preferable. But if you're someone like me that's just bound to suffer no matter what, like I do deserve the option to, you know, not exist anymore. Anyways. I read some old case studies when I was all pray the gay away. Some patients achieved satisfaction without it. Yeah, then those people just wouldn't have dysphoria. It was a significant minority, but not large one. Yeah, and obviously we wouldn't extrapolate the vast minority of cases in which, you know, someone's just like not dysphoric at all, or it goes away. And it's like, okay, yeah, obviously in that case maybe, but I have dysphoria. What is your condition? Also dysphoria. Like with many things, I think that the theory of assisted suicide is great, but how it actually plays out isn't. It's crazy what's happening in Canada. Why is what's happening in Canada bad? Like, what do you mean? And what are we talking about? Also, it's not something that's just great in theory. It's preferable to have the option than to not have the option. It's just the freedom maximizing position. I don't suffer constantly from it. Good for you. Well, that's probably because you transitioned then. Either that or you didn't transition and, you know, you're not really trans or that dysphoric. He's still rubbing them out to clavicular. Well, I never liked clavicular. I just think he's fucking funny. Coercion and pleasure. Oh, sorry. Coercion and pressure. Well, yeah, that's like the opposite of autonomy. Impact on healthcare and trust. Slippery slope for society. Okay, a slippery slope is a logical fallacy. Devaluation of life and dignity. No, it's the literal opposite. What you're in favor of is devaluing dignity. You're in favor of stripping people of their dignity and forcing them to suffer. Unreliable consent? Well, that's just not true. Mate is just demonic straight up. So, all of the arguments you made are the logically fallacious ones that we just went over and debunked. If anything, you are in favor of coercing people into suffering and, you know, being forced to live lives that they hate, that are miserable, that are a clear net negative. That's not dignity. That's not a dignified way of existing. You really think health insurance companies won't pressure expensive patients for that to do that option? Well, that's a problem with capitalism, like I said. Like, most of the problems that you bring up are things that already exist. And also, that would have to be something that would be illegal, right? There would obviously need to be some sort of law that says, if an insurance company gets caught recommending that, then, you know, then let's just say that the law cracks down on them. Does that make sense? Anyways. But that's just another example of insurance companies being evil. Because obviously, given the opportunity to, yeah, of course they would. Anyways. Also, to clarify, I'm not pro-conversion therapy, nor am I in favor of just therapy to cure dysphoria. I'm just saying what I saw some years ago while researching it in my depression phase. Okay. Well, yeah, obviously, I would certainly hope that you wouldn't have the retarded position. The government of Canada is killing children in assisted suicide. Okay, problem. Why is that bad? Like, if somebody doesn't want to exist anymore, why should they be forced to? I'm confused. Why should people be forced to suffer? That you just have the pro-suffering position. You value life in of itself, but you don't understand why a life would be valuable in the first place. You have no idea. You just think it's valuable because it's valuable to you. You just think it's valuable because reasons, I guess. If you truly understand wildlife, you'll understand that all life is pain either way. Okay, then what's the benefit of existing? If life is a net suffering, then why live it? What's the net gain? What do we get from living if we all suffer more than we, you know, experience pleasure? It's suicides trying to dictate how the rest of us will live after they're gone. It's narcissism. Nobody is trying to dictate how you live. You can live however you want. My position is the one that's in favor of autonomy. Nobody is saying you have to commit suicide. No one is saying you have to get euthanized. All I'm saying is that if people want to get euthanized, they ought to have the option. To serve God? God isn't a real fucking retard. There's no evidence of him. Idiot. It's just like the biggest cope ever. Actually, my life isn't meaningless and fucking shitty because I am actually suffering and fucking miserable and want to kill myself all the time because I'm serving God. It's retarded. There are tons of people who dictate how you live. Yeah. There are a lot of people that try to do that. And guess what? They're all in the wrong. They're all in the wrong. You'll find out one day. I mean, this is just cope. Literally just fucking cope. Oh, we have another attention sucker. Wonderful chat message. No government has the right to assist a citizen in suicide and never should. That's great and all, but you haven't made an argument for why. You've just said it's bad because it's bad. Great, make an argument. Why is that worse than suffering? You haven't made that argument. Right? It's going to be the case that a net neutral, which is what you would experience after death, because when you die, you're just dead. There's no God, there's no hell, there's no heaven. You just experience a net neutral. And a net neutral is going to be a lot more preferable than a net negative. Objectively, a net neutral is preferable to a net negative. That's a fact. And that is an empirically correct fact that some of you just aren't ready to hear. Your argument is beaten already. No, it's not. You're failing to make a single argument. No one's forcing the government, anyone. The government is the crux in the conversation. Okay? The government shouldn't force people to get euthanized. So make an argument. Why is it bad for the government to allow people to do something that minimizes their suffering? You assume there's nothing after death. Well, there's no evidence that there is. What evidence do you have to suggest that there's an afterlife? And not just that there's an afterlife, but that there's one that, just so happens to be accurately depicted by religion? There's no evidence that any religion is correct. It's all a bunch of made-up fucking shit. It doesn't minimize their suffering. It quite literally does. You can't suffer if you're dead, fucking idiot. What are we talking about? Hold on, do you actually believe that dead people can suffer? What's your evidence of this? Prove there's nothing after? Prove that there's not a purple elephant in my backyard right now. You fucking idiot. Anyways. Sorry. You're not even taking the conversation seriously. You're jumping back and forth between medically assisted suicide and government assisted suicide. Two different balls of wax. Yeah, but they're going to be related to each other, right? So obviously, it's either going to be the case that medically assisted suicide is something that is done by private corporations or the government. Why would the government be any different from private corporations? Neither of them are going to necessarily have our best interest at heart. Like, why should it be privatized? In which case, it's going to be a purely for-profit model, which is going to be worse, because then whether or not you have the right to end your suffering is going to be contingent upon how much money you have. Which is absurd. Everything is evidence of God. No, that's not what that means. You fucking retard. It's like actually crazy how fucking low IQ some of these people are. Profit model is never going to cure sickness. True. Absolutely true. Like, why should that necessarily be privatized? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever. You can't say God doesn't exist because there's no evidence. Bruh, do you realize how dumb that sounds? You can't prove that he doesn't exist either. Okay. Well, I think that your God doesn't exist specifically. Now, I believe it's the case that there could be a God, but it's not one that would be accurately depicted by humans, let alone your religion. Out of the thousands of religions that are mutually exclusive that have been depicted by humans, you think yours is the correct one. You are retarded. You are fucking stupid. The existence of God is either provable by pure reason, in which case we should focus on that and not look outside, so I believe, or it can't prove it and we should stop focusing on that. Well, it's not provable by pure reason. I mean, maybe if you want to go down like the argument of like deism, maybe you can make an argument in favor of there being a God, but not like necessarily one that's, you know, been described by humans, just any God, any sentient entity that has created the universe, any conscious form of existence, I guess. You could maybe make an argument for that. You could make an argument against that. I think that those are fair arguments to have. But the idea that there's not just a God, but it's the Christian God, I mean, that's a bit of a fucking leap. Anyways, how can you believe in a God that gets it wrong? On one page, on page 1, scientifically, we know the sun existed before the moon or the earth were solid. There was no period in time that the earth was dark. True. Absolutely true. There's just like scientifically and factually incorrect stuff that's in the Bible. Most people are not trained in rational thinking. True. They are adults believing in fairy tales. Exactly. Luigi Mangione was sent by God himself. Luigi is the true messiah. I follow Luigiism. Yeah, that's kind of real. That's the one religion I can respect. You look like a 13-year-old boy with long hair. That's a really weird, very, very weird thing to say. Very strange. I don't know what fucking, like, what are we talking about? I don't look 13. It's like you couldn't even say, oh yeah, you don't pass. You look male. You know, the normal thing that a transphobe says. No, you had to be like, yeah, you look like a child. Very, very strange stuff. Very Michael Nelson coded. Anyways. You also have to prove the veracity of a specific God, not just the general existence thereof. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's the point that I'm making. Is that when these people are talking about God, they're not just saying any God. They're talking about their fucking religion. Looksmax Discord chiller. You know me from the Looksmaxing server? Damn. I haven't been there in like a week, I think. Or was it a week ago that I was like active? I don't remember. By the way, you look great. Don't listen to them. I wish I looked like you. Well, yeah, the only reason I read it is just because it's like kind of a crazy thing to say. Anyways, people simultaneously hate on trans people, say they're not their gender, and then also say that being gay is wrong, and then, for good measure, fetishize them and say you want to fuck them. Yo, truth nuke. Actually, so fucking true. You're so pretty, thank you. If you choose to live your life apart from God, then you will live eternity without him. What if I change my mind? Like, let's say he exists, and I'm just, like, wrong. Because I was like, well, there's just, like, no evidence to believe this shit, so why would I believe it? Or let's say I'm just, like, wrong about it. Okay, let's say I'm in hell for, like, 100 years, and then I change my mind. Then what? Oh, God's not all forgiving? Well, that contradicts the Bible. That doesn't make any sense. So pretty, I'm so jealous. Why would you be jealous? When people talk about God, it doesn't necessarily mean they align with any one religion. Well, in the context in which it's being brought up in these conversations, it does. Because they're saying that their life purpose, their goal in life is to serve God. And that if you don't follow him, you're going to go to hell. That's a religious belief. That's not grounded in reality. What's your argument about how one person giving up is a negative to everyone around them? Yeah, so it's going to be the case that even if it's a net negative for the people around them, I still think that they have the right to make that decision. Right? I don't think that you should only have the right to make decisions that are utility maximizing, because ironically enough, anti-freedom positions are ones that generally minimize utility. Because it would be very difficult to establish a law or a system that makes that determination. So it's generally going to be the case that whatever is freedom maximizing allows us as people to maximize utility on an individual scale. You put yourself in hell, but God doesn't put you there? Okay, so if at any point I decide to leave hell, I can go, right? Or is it the case that at that point it's not a choice anymore, in which case I'm forced to be there? Which is fucking terrifying, by the way. Why should I be forced to exist? I didn't choose to exist. I didn't choose to be born. Why don't I have the right to say to God or Satan or whoever the fuck, hey, by the way, I don't want to exist anymore. Existence is suffering. I'd rather experience nothing. Can you just remove my soul from existence? You know, the humane thing to do. Continue with sins and never repenting will not make him forgive you. Yeah, but what if it's the case that I live my life based on what I think is correct? Based on conclusions that I've come to, whatever seems like it's the most logical conclusion, right? Based on the evidence that I was given and the brain that I was given. Let's say I come to a bunch of wrong conclusions. How is that my fault? The reason for your existence is to glorify God. Why? Why does he need that? Is he a fucking narcissist or something? Why does he need external validation from humans? That doesn't make any sense. Shouldn't he have all the internal validation he could possibly ever need or want? All of you Bible thumpers are making the rest of us Christians look bad. Real. The idea that you put yourself into hell is still fucked up. The idea that someone is damned for accidentally choosing the wrong religion is cruel and sadistic, whether or not it's your fault. Yeah, true. It's like, based on the information that I have available, there's no reason to believe any of this shit. So why would I? And if I come to a wrong conclusion, let's say your religion is correct, doesn't it seem a bit cruel to send me to hell to suffer infinitely because I came to wrong conclusions? Because I believed the wrong thing? Because there was no logical reason for me not to? Because I came to the best conclusion I possibly could based on the evidence in front of me? Lean not on your own understandings, but trust in the Lord. Yeah, just be irrational. Just believe in the thing that has no rational basis behind it. Yeah, that's a really smart way of going about life. Thank you. When a king rewrites the Bible and people believe what's in there, that's a problem. Yeah. I'd rather go to hell than spend eternity with bigots. I'd rather just not exist at all. Plus the gays will have bedazzled spelling nice. Well, from what I understood when I was religious, my conception of hell was that it's like infinite suffering. There's like constant negative qualia. And heaven is like, you don't experience any negative qualia. You experience exclusively positive qualia to the greatest extent possible. That was sort of my interpretation of what it would be like. Like, you would have no conception of negative emotions in heaven and no conception of positive ones in hell. That was sort of how I interpreted it. Anyways. I'm confused. Is a trans girl biologically female or biologically male? Biologically male. If I was biologically female, it wouldn't make sense for me to transition. What would I be transitioning to and from? Female to female? Heaven sounds like excruciatingly boring. Yeah, and that's why when I was religious, I had to justify it by being like, well, I would experience nothing but positive qualia because my brain structure would be fundamentally altered in order to, you know, it'd be like being on meth 24/7 for the rest of eternity. And your brain is structured in such a way that it makes it impossible to get bored. Right? That was sort of my conception of it. You got that stone, you got those stoned eyes, like you're on fucking drugs 24/7. I'm not. But yes, life is suffering that none of us choose. I honestly don't know why anyone would want to live and have to live in society. Yeah, true. Let's say Pascal's wager is true. For which god would it be true? You have to believe in all of them just to make sure. Yeah, exactly. Now, Pascal's wager is, like, very logically fallacious. Knowing all of the horrors still exist on Earth, heaven could never be heaven for an empathetic person. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that's the thing is you could be empathetic as a person, but then when you go to heaven because, let's say, whatever, I guess brain structure would be maybe obviously, you know, if you don't have like a body, then it wouldn't necessarily be brain structure, but whatever the equivalent would be to a brain structure would be fundamentally altered, right? So the same way that like a psychopath doesn't have the capacity to experience empathy, you wouldn't have the capacity to experience negative emotions, period. And therefore you would necessarily be indifferent to the suffering of others. What's your take on abortion? Yeah, there's no logical reason to be against it. You know, if we're talking about abortion within the first 26 weeks, or it is scientifically proven to be the case that the fetus is not sentient at all, there's no logical reason to be against it. Nah, I bet heaven still has negative emotions. Why? That doesn't sound like paradise. If you experience suffering in heaven, then that's not paradise. Why should you be forced to exist? At any capacity. You know, my biggest fear is that my consciousness will linger after I die. It's like genuinely a horrifying thought. Now, I don't think it would linger in the sense of, you know, any religious worldview. I just am horrified by the idea that, you know, I would be forced to exist. And that there'd be no escape. Anyways. Hey, I created you after my own image, now I'm gonna punish you for being like me. Yeah, it's like, if God didn't want me to be this way, he could have just made me differently. Like, he could have just made my brain different. He chose not to, so it's like, well, is that really my fault that my brain operates in such a way that I come to certain conclusions? Now, granted, if, say for instance, my brain operates in such a way that causes a societal harm, right? I think that it's, like, fine to, like, or yeah, if there's a person's brain that, you know, operates in such a way that causes societal harm, then I think it's fine for society to operate in such a way that prevents them from causing such harm. So, for example, a psychopath, somebody that does not have the capacity to experience empathy, right? And as a result of this, they do things that are, well, less than ideal towards other people. For the sake of the other people, society ought to protect itself and people from said psychopath. But the goal should not be to punish the psychopath. The goal should be to maximize good for society on a broader scale. But I wouldn't argue that that psychopath or that serial killer should be forced to suffer infinitely. For instance, say for instance you have a soul, okay? You have a soul, and it goes into body A. Now, body A has a brain that operates in such a way that it is prone to believing in Christianity. That person grows up in Christianity, and they have a high level of empathy by default, right? They are going to be predisposed towards doing things that would cause them to go to heaven. And let's say that they do, after living that life. Now, let's say that that same soul ends up in a different body, with a brain that operates in such a way that leads to the conclusion of atheism, and the brain also does not have the capacity to experience empathy, and this person, on the basis of their brain structure, has the innate desire to kill people, and so they do. What you have is you have the same soul under a different set of circumstances, and purely on the basis of circumstances alone. In scenario A, the soul goes to heaven, and in scenario B, due to the different circumstances, that same soul goes to hell. How can a just God be just if whether or not a soul goes to heaven or hell is even if it's just a small portion, if it's even just in part determined by circumstance? Why should how you spend eternity for be determined by these circumstantial variables that are outside of your control? It doesn't make any sense. It is fundamentally unjust by definition. You're a very intelligent and articulate person. I hope you have a great week. You too. The Protestants were often far more militant than Catholics in the early days, like they started 99% of religious wars in Europe. The Crusades were mostly defensive against invaders or on request. I don't know. I don't think that the Crusades were defensive for the most part. Preferred your femboy era is crazy. Abortion for the most part is straight up murder. Well, murder refers to some sort of unjustified killing. So can you explain why abortion would be unjustified? It's not unjust. God doesn't send you to hell. Well, I wouldn't be choosing to go there. I wouldn't even be choosing to exist after death. So if it's the case that I get sent there, let's say, oh, I accidentally send myself to hell. Okay. Why should I be forced to stay there for eternity because I accidentally sent myself there? Based on the basis of circumstances, where if the circumstances were different, I would have sent myself to heaven. It doesn't make any sense. You make the decision? Okay, so what if you change your mind? What if you make the wrong decision? Like, let's frame it that way. Let's say that you make the wrong decision. First of all, you wouldn't even realize that you're making a decision, right? I'm an atheist. So from my perspective, I'm not making a decision to go to hell. I'm not making a decision at all. My decision is to, be the best that I can while I'm alive because that's the only thing that's real to me. So let's say it's the case that I'm wrong. I'm not choosing to go to hell. I don't think hell is real. I don't think heaven is real. So I'm not making that decision. You can't make a decision based on information you don't have. No one accidentally sends themselves to hell. So people willingly choose to go to hell. You say it's eternal suffering, right? You would say it's eternal suffering. Who is choosing eternal suffering? People don't choose that. That doesn't make any fucking sense. How can you be an atheist in the purest form? What do you mean the purest form? I don't believe that hell or heaven exist. Now, obviously, I debate these topics. I bring up hypotheticals, okay? Like, I'm willing to do an internal critique. How do you know 100% that there's no God? How do you know 100% that there is? Yet, like, I don't know anything with 100% certainty. That's just like a philosophical view that I have. I think that there's very few things that I would know with 100% certainty. I don't? Okay. Yeah, so you would understand why I wouldn't have 100% certainty, but that doesn't negate my view. I've met a few people that want to go to hell. Well, and a lot of that is going to determine on their conception of it. But if the conception of hell is eternal suffering, then yeah, nobody's going to choose that. Nobody is like, yes, I want eternal suffering. That's exactly what I want. So no, that wouldn't be a decision that people would make. But claiming to be an atheist is ridiculous? No, it's not. I just don't believe in God. How is that ridiculous? Like, if it's the case that there's like a 99% chance of thing A and a 1% chance of thing B, and I say I believe in thing A, how is that ridiculous? Because you don't know with 100% certainty? Okay, but knowledge doesn't require 100% certainty. Hell, I actually call myself an agnostic atheist because on a philosophical level, I'm more agnostic. And what I mean by that is that I believe that there could be a God. But for all intents and purposes, I'm an atheist in my day-to-day life because I don't believe in any God, and I outright reject the correctness of any religion, right? I believe that religion is wrong. That's where the atheism aspect comes from. Anyways, don't you feel burnt out from most people's stupidity? Of course I do. Life without God is still unjust. It's just like a non-argument. Unjust according to what standard exactly? Why would that be unjust? That's fine, but just like I can't prove there's a God, you can't prove there isn't. Okay, well, you also can't prove that there's, not a purple elephant in my backyard. Right? But you would say, yeah, I don't, like, there's not one. I know that there's not one. Right? The same way that I know that Christianity is false. Right? The amount of credence that you should give to Christianity should be the same level of credence that you would give to, I don't know, whether or not there's a purple elephant in my backyard. It's like, yeah, you can't disprove it, technically, aside from pointing out. Actually, it would be easier to prove Christianity false just on the basis of, there being contradictions and true things not having contradictions. There's actually more evidence against Christianity than there is against the existence of a purple elephant in my backyard. If you think about it. At least without God, I don't blame him anything for natural disasters. There's a god. I view him as a monster. Yeah, it's like, okay, so you have this all-powerful god. He chooses to, give children cancer and to make them starve. Like, okay. Yeah, real cool, upstanding guy. That's what a lost, confused person would say. How am I lost and confused? I have very strong opinions, actually. I'm not lost or confused about anything that I believe. They recovered his journal and it was filled with pages of, these people are going to kill me. His last entry was, I need to leave the minute the sun rises. Who are we talking about? Jesus? There's no evidence that Jesus was divine. I think that there might be some evidence of there being a religious figure named Jesus at around the time period. And I think that that's what the story is based off of. That's my view. But we have no reason to believe that, he was literally the son of God and he walked on water and turned water into wine. There's just no evidence of this. Quantum physics tell us how the modern universe formed. It's more complex than that. But to be fair, I'm not entirely familiar with quantum physics. So I also wouldn't defer to that because, well, I mean, there are going to be some things that are scientific that contradict the Bible. But, like, there are going to be a lot of things where it's like, well, yeah, these could coexist. Like, I don't think that quantum mechanics contradict the Bible necessarily. There are going to be some things where it's like, that the notion that the earth was created before the sun, right? That's obviously, contradictory to reality. There's some accounts of some miracles. Yeah, just because some guy wrote it in a book doesn't mean it's true. People write wrong things in books all the time. Yes, look up the... Yeah, what about... Yes, look up the God particle. Yes. I'm terrified to die because I'm 99.999% sure that it's the same lack of sensory as before I was born. Oh, that's what I hope for. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm rooting for lack of sensory. That's what I hope. I'm terrified that my consciousness will linger, which I know is an irrational fear, but it's like, what if? What if my consciousness lingers in my body and then I get cremated and I experience that? Isn't that a fucking terrifying thing to think about? Like, or like you get buried and you experience the suffocate. I know it's irrational because you would have no brain to perceive it, but I don't know. There's like this irrational fucking retard part of me that's fucking terrified of that. But I understand that it's not rational. It's just fucking scary to think about. Finally, someone else gets my fear. But to be fair, consciousness lingering wouldn't necessarily have to be that specifically. I mean, that's a horrifying way of it being the case, but it's like, it could be the case that your consciousness separates from the body, but that it's like still attached partially, but not entirely, and like you experience your body rotting underground. That's fucking horrifying. Like my biggest fear, one of my biggest fears is that like when I die, I'll still be conscious. And that's one of the most, because I don't know what consciousness is. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what consciousness means, but I don't fully know what it is, or, all I know is that there's some connection between, your brain existing and functioning and consciousness. That's like all I really know about the matter. But in terms of what consciousness is or where it comes from, I'm generally going to lean towards the belief that it's generated by neural activity in the brain and that's the only reason consciousness exists. But I don't know that. I don't know what what is consciousness made out of? How does consciousness come into existence? Can computers be consciousness, or do you have to have some sort of like physical, like flesh? Like, what if it's the case that my brain was uploaded to a computer? Would that brain experience the same level of consciousness that I do, or would it be fundamentally distinct? I don't know the answers to this. I have no idea. I think about how I vaguely remember early memories. It's fascinating to ponder. The thing is, all our consciousness is connected to the brain, so even if there was an afterlife, it wouldn't be you, but a copy of your consciousness, your current consciousness, would be gone. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't consider it an afterlife. It could be the case that, like, I don't know, because it's like, what if it's the case that my consciousness gets generated by my brain, but let's say my brain stops existing, but that consciousness lingers despite it no longer being generated. So it would exist, but in a different capacity. You can't figure out consciousness. We aren't as advanced as we think we are. True, I don't think that we have the answers. I don't think we have the answers. Can we create a consciousness if we replicate the chemical conditions? I believe the answer would be yes, but I don't know. I mean, we create consciousness all the time by having kids, which in a way is creating that specific chemical process, but I don't know. But I mean, is it something that has to physically exist, or is it something that we can generate on a computer? Like, is it possible to make sentient machines? I don't know, you know, what the, like, where's, I don't, like, fully know where sentience starts and ends. I have no idea. Your brain wouldn't be conscious if you downloaded the memory to the computer? Yes, but would the brain on the computer be conscious? It wouldn't be my consciousness, but it could be a consciousness. Does that make sense? It'd be distinct. It wouldn't be something that would carry on. It wouldn't be something that I would experience after death. But it could be something that becomes sentient in of itself and has its own experiences, despite being distinct from me. And it would have similar experiences as if it had lived as me. Does that make sense? Humans are sentient machines made out of meat. Yeah. But I don't think that us being made out of meat is necessarily what makes us conscious. So the early church had a more fluid view of scripture, but there was some debate over how they view scripture because they have a semi-open canon. This was also a minority. And their canons were also never adopted, and indeed contrary apostolic canons and lists from the 1st and 2nd centuries, as well as council decrees, so more or less their view of scripture. And then ... Sentient machines are possible, I believe. I also have that belief. Maybe about the time of awareness or self-awareness. Yeah. But no, I have a lot of irrational fears. I can't lie. I like to pretend that I'm scared of nothing, but like, in a non-traditional sense, I'm terrified of what happens after death. I don't think that hell exists. I don't think that I would go to hell, even if it did, because it just doesn't seem rational. I don't think that hell could exist beyond just like, maybe like, oh, you suffer for like, you know, X amount of years. You experience the amount of suffering you output into the world or some shit, and then that's like the end of it. I don't think that like infinite suffering could exist. At least not in an intentional context. I don't think that it would be designed to be that way. Like, unless there is a cruel and sadistic God that thrives off of suffering. If that makes sense. But I'm also of the belief that, like, you know, my consciousness could linger after death, and that's horrifying. Because that's something that I would have zero autonomy over. Because if my consciousness lingers after death, then I truly have no autonomy as to whether or not I exist. Something that I never asked for. I never asked to exist. I never consented. I didn't choose to be born. I didn't ask for any of this. All fears are irrational, but it doesn't mean they're wrong. There's evidence that fear is genetic and we survived because we listened. Yeah, but like but my fears are of abstract things. I don't think that we survived due to existential fear of what happens after we die. I don't think that that's a driving force to survive. Because death is inevitable and we know this. I want to be a cruel god? I would thrive on suffering. Well, I'm glad you're not a god then. If I was a god, I would be a compassionate god. Nobody would go to hell. Everyone would experience a net positive experience. People would have positive qualia. I would end suffering. I would make it so that everyone gets to be happy. Right? If I'm an all-powerful entity in the universe, I would end all suffering. I would make people as happy as I possibly could. I would make Earth heaven, essentially. Because I'd, at the end of the day, have no reason not to. Making it so that people experience primarily positive qualia and hardly, if any, negative qualia, and, reducing circumstances that would cause suffering and, shit like that. I mean, that doesn't negate free will, right? Like, for instance, somebody that's born into a life of luxury has just as much free will as somebody that's born into poverty. But one of those people is obviously going to suffer a lot more than the other, which is not fair. But if I was a god, I would be a just god. I would make it fair for everyone. I would make it so that nobody has to suffer. Nobody gets left behind. Nobody is forced to suffer in hell. And if people don't want to exist, if people want their souls to be extinguished because they'd rather not have to be sentient, then I would grant them that right. So you are better than God? I mean, if by God you mean the God of the Bible, then yeah, I guess so. But I think that what I've just described here is the bare minimum. I don't think I'm special. I don't think that I'm different. I think that any compassionate human being would come to the same conclusion as me. Having everything you want can backfire too. Well, it wouldn't in this case, because I'd be God. I'd make it so that it doesn't backfire, because I'm all powerful. So, I don't think that I'm specifically better than God. I think that most people who are compassionate, actually anyone that's truly compassionate, who actually cares about human suffering, who actually cares about fairness, I think anyone would be better than the Christian God, right? If they just meet those basic criteria. I don't think it's a high standard. I'm a person, I'm flawed. I'm far from perfect. I don't even think I'm a particularly good person. But if I was all powerful and nothing took any effort, then, I would go out of my way to make everything as good as possible, because I wouldn't even have to do anything for it. I just snap my fingers and everything's all better. But according to Christianity, the God of the Bible won't even do that. Won't even do that. If I, a flawed human being, am more compassionate than the God of the Bible, then there is something wrong with the God of the Bible. It's not something wrong with me. Right? I'm just some person. I'm flawed. There's something wrong with the God of the Bible. Why do I have more compassion for human beings than the Christian God? It doesn't make sense. You think God just flings his fingers and it happens? Well, necessarily, if it's the case that he's all powerful, yes. He wouldn't fling his fingers. He wouldn't have to. He just, decides that it's true, and regardless of whether or not he does a hand gesture for it, it happens. You assume you're more compassionate? No, I make that judgment based on evidence. If it's the case that I care more about human suffering than the Christian God, then yes, I'm more compassionate. If I was God, I would actually prevent human suffering. I would make it so that nobody has to suffer. Nobody gets left behind. Nobody is put into a circumstance where they're inevitably going to go to hell. I wouldn't set people up for failure. I wouldn't make it so that somebody's born in this body of a psychopath where they have nothing but an incentive structure to kill people and cause suffering, and then blame the soul for something that was caused by the brain. When if the same soul was born in a different body, they would make it to heaven. Because in my eyes, that's just cruel. It's not just, it's not fair. It's not compassionate at all. It doesn't give people a second chance. Hell, if I was gonna have hell exist, right, I would have it be rehabilitative. It wouldn't be punitive, it would be rehabilitative. Okay, you're in hell, it's not the worst place in the world. We're gonna make your soul a little bit better, okay? I don't like to say purify. Right? That gives off a bad vibe. Because there's a very specific connotation that has. But give them the opportunity to better themselves once they're dead. Why should they lose that ability? The system that I would have would be far more fair. Anyways. There's no evidence of God, so your claim of your compassion being based on evidence is false? What? I'm confused. I agree that there is no, there's no God that's been accurately depicted by humans. If there is a God, it's not one we've, met or accurately depicted or anything like that. You can't force people to not choose evil, sorry? No, but I can rehabilitate them. People choose evil because of their circumstances. Because of chemical reactions that occur within their brain, because they were born into shitty circumstances. And those two things combined, yeah, of course they're going to be a bad person. But why not give them better circumstances so that they don't turn to that in the first place? That's not a negation of their free will. That's just giving them an actual fair chance. She's using evidence based on how God is taught as to whether or not he exists or not. This isn't even an argument about whether or not God exists. This is an argument about if the Christian God exists, he's cruel for no reason. He doesn't have to be this way. And while I, as an imperfect human, constantly judge people, hell, I can be a vindictive ass bitch, right? I'm human. I'm not perfect. But I would never wish for eternal suffering upon even my worst enemy. Because I have an understanding that even my worst enemies are byproducts of their environments. They're victims of their circumstances at the end of the day. Even if that circumstance is, their brain structure. What about Hitler? Infinite suffering for finite actions is still not rational, even in the case of Hitler. Hell, I would be fine with him suffering for a very long time, but not infinitely. Not infinitely. But even in the case of Hitler, if I was God, I would try to rehabilitate his soul. I wouldn't just give up. If I'm God and I love everyone, why would I give up? Why would I give up on his soul? Hell, if I was God, I wouldn't give him an incentive to do that in the first place. I would make it so that he has no desire to kill people like that. So that he has no desire to be cruel. That's not a negation of free will. If you don't have the desire to be cruel, do you not have free will? Of course you have free will. Under a religious worldview, I'm of the belief. Now, I'm also a determinist for separate reasons. But if it's the case that you and I have free will, right? I'm doing an internal critique here. If you and I have free will, then wouldn't Hitler have just as much free will if he had no desire to kill Jewish people? I'm just saying. Why are you talking like you're the main character? I'm not. I understand that even my worst enemy is just a victim of their environment, but they are. Is that false? Are we not all victims of our circumstances? That's not to say that we necessarily have no agency. Yes, we should try to better ourselves in order to maximize utility, but to blame everyone for the way that they are when, beyond just trying to make society a better place and saying, hey, let's do everything we can to, prevent harm. At the end of the day, beyond what happens on Earth, if I'm an all-powerful God, why would I make people suffer? Hell, I think it would be fair if, say, for instance, if I was God, let's say, and someone did what Hitler did, for whatever reason. Let's say I let that happen for some reason. Okay, I would just make their soul vanish after death. Nobody gains anything from them suffering in hell for eternity. Just make their soul not exist anymore. Make it so it's like it was before they were even born. Hell, I wouldn't even give birth to them in the first place, or allow them to be born in the first place, to commit atrocities. There'd just be a net harm. Or if that soul were to be created, I would make it in a way that doesn't do that, in circumstances that don't cause that. This girl out here spitting facts, true. I know we were debating the existence of a deity and the concept of death before, but holy shit, this got so much deeper. Yeah. I don't know. Look, fact of the matter is I have very strong positions on this. If I'm gonna worship a god, it needs to be something that I aspire to be more like. And a petty, vindictive, narcissistic, cruel god that blames people for circumstances that he created is not something that I aspire to be. So even if I was to worship a god, it would not be the Christian god. It would have to be a god that actually values compassion. And not just because they say they do, but because they demonstrate it. And when everything they do demonstrates the literal opposite, well, why would that be worth worshiping? Why? You have no true understanding of God if that is their idea? Elaborate. Every action has a consequence, yes, but what factors cause people to make decisions? It's going to be a combination of chemical reactions that occur within somebody's brain, combined with environmental factors that cause them to think a certain way. To pretend like that isn't going to be one of the main defining characteristics is to lie to yourself. Dear, there is no God. I agree. Too many people of your age are playing victim instead of getting their act together. I don't think that's the issue. Getting a job and stop blaming everyone for no nonsense. No God exists. I agree that no God exists, but I also think it's retarded to claim that, you know, people should just get a job and stop complaining about, you know, society being dog shit or their lives being dog shit when they objectively are. Their own choices. Yeah, but like what causes them to want to make said decisions in the first place? What causes them to have such a desire? And if they didn't have the desire to make a decision that's bad, then they wouldn't. But that wouldn't mean that they don't have free will. So for instance, it's going to be the case, or at least I hope it would be the case, that you have no desire to rape children. Okay, I would at least certainly hope that's the case. I'm going to assume that it is. Okay. That's not a negation of your free will, is it? No, of course not. Of course you would have just as much free will. You have just as much free will, right? So let's say I'm God. If I'm, say for instance, creating new people, why would I create pedophiles? It's not a matter of free will because you and I don't have the desire to fuck kids and we have free will. So why couldn't he make them just not want to fuck kids? Because that's also not a negation of their free will. Pretty fucking simple. That's of the devil? Okay, so why should people be punished for being manipulated by the devil? Isn't that the devil's fault? Like why can't God just make it so that the devil doesn't have the capacity to cause people to desire bad things? Right? So for instance, I don't have the capacity to, I mean, maybe on a small scale, I might be able to make, you know, a couple people desire bad things if I wanted to, if I was, you know, persuasive enough. But, you know, let's say I didn't have that ability. Okay. That doesn't negate free will. Why not confine Satan's influence to hell itself? That's not a negation to his free will. I mean, I don't have any influence on hell. I can't decide what hell is like if it were to exist. So, if that's not a negation of my free will, then why would it be a negation of Satan's free will to say, you will have no influence over Earth? The bad is necessary for the existence of good. Well, that's just not true. Anything that's good is going to be preferable to anything neutral. So, for instance, a net neutral would be non-existence. So anything that's preferable to non-existence is going to be Good, anything that's dispreferable to non-existence or nothing at all is going to be negative. So it's actually very easy to categorize, and it's actually not as relativistic as you would think. Right? So if it's the case that experiencing nothing at all is a net neutral, right, and there's nothing worse than that, and everything that you experience is better than that, that means that everything you experience is either going to be neutral or positive, and that's the most ideal scenario. You lack wisdom? Incredible counter-argument. No, you wouldn't be able to recognize good without bad. This is just fucking retarded. You're just wrong about that. Like, no, you would be able to recognize good because you would see, okay, a net neutral, which is nothingness, is not as good as this thing, which is good. Right? If it's the case that something is preferable to a net neutral or nothing at all, then yes, it's going to be good. You don't have to experience bad to understand that. Some people are just evil. Yeah, so if there's a God, why would he make them that way? He could just make them different. Then we get into the debate of objective good and if we could think that can necessarily exist. Well, yeah, it can and it does. It's called positive qualia. Net positive qualia is objectively good. Net negative qualia is objectively bad. And that's the only objective standard that there is. Anyways. You need to go outside or have a goon. That's wonderful stuff. Great stuff happening in the Femyoz YouTube chat. You wouldn't know how to determine what's good or bad without understanding what bad is? Well, that's just not true. Again, you could easily conceptualize it, even if you've never experienced bad. Right? You could just say, bad is anything that is worse than nothing at all. Good is anything that's better than nothing at all. You don't need to experience bad to understand that concept. So you're just factually incorrect about that. Like, this just, you know, this just presupposes that everything is ultimately a net neutral no matter what. And that it's all relative, but that's just, like, not true. We have an objective frame of reference, which is going to be net neutral, or nothingness, or even the lack of consciousness. Anyways. If you think taking away evil is good, then how would you go about casting away evil? You mean if I'm God, I could just make them not evil. I could just make them have no desire to do evil things. And then they would have no incentive structure to do the evil things. So, yeah. Anyways. No, because we have free will? So wait, hold on. Do you believe that removing somebody's desire to do bad things negates their free will? Again, I brought up the example before and I'll bring it up again. I assume that you have no desire to fuck children, which is a good thing. You shouldn't have that desire. That's a bad desire to have. So you don't do that. Why isn't it the case then that your God would make it so that nobody has that desire? Why does he give people that desire on some occasions? Why would he have people have that desire? He could just make them not want to fuck kids. That doesn't negate their free will because you and I don't have that desire, and according to you, we would both have free will. So how would removing that desire from the people that have it negate their free will? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Because nobody chooses what they desire. I'm just saying. You're you and not God. Thank God. If I was God, your life would be significantly better. You know that, right? Mic buzzing? Yes, people choose what they desire. Well, that's just not true. You're just factually wrong about that. You actually can't choose what you desire. People have innate predispositions to desiring certain things and not desiring others. People choose to be racist idiots. I would agree with that. But it's also going to be a combination of their brain chemistry and their circumstances. Right? So I wouldn't be in favor of having them suffer infinitely. A lot of people have desires to do bad things for purely evil reasons. Yeah, and my question to that would just be, why? Anyways. Bish, are you dumb? If someone no longer has free will, then they wouldn't be able to decide to do good or bad. Therefore, light and dark must be together. That's fucking stupid. What are we talking about? When did I say that they would not have free will? Under your view, if they didn't have the desire to do the bad thing, they would still have free will. So again, you and I do not have the desire to fuck kids. We have free will. There are pedophiles that exist that do have the desire to fuck kids. Why wouldn't God make it so that they don't have that desire? It's not a negation of their free will, because you can have free will without having that desire. So he could just make it so that they don't have that desire. It doesn't negate their free will. We already established this. Good is unrecognizable without bad. I already explained why you're wrong about this. Because the reference point would be a net neutral, experiencing of nothingness. The notion of nothingness would be neutral, so anything better than that is going to be positive. Anything worse than that is going to be negative. I already established this. That's the objective standard. Those pedos are using their free will to want children. How are you so thick? Well, no, they're not choosing to want that. They're choosing to act on it, and that's the problem. Right? But God could just make them not have the desire in the first place. Right? So you and I don't have the desire to begin with. So we have no incentive to do that. Right? They have an incentive to do the bad thing that causes harm. Right? But God could just remove that incentive if he's all powerful. Why doesn't he? Well, you do realize people don't choose that, right? People don't choose what their predispositions are. The same way that a psychopath doesn't choose to not have empathy. Why doesn't God just make their brains different? It doesn't make any fucking sense. And then people are like, but because the devil exists. This is the most low IQ response. Once again, God can just make it so that the devil has zero influence. He can just make it so the devil has zero influence on earth. Problem solved. Yo, thank you, Big Anon, for the 2 saying, if you're not worshipping Talos, what are you doing? Great question. They know right from wrong and still do that? Yes, but like, it could also be the case that God just makes them not have the desire. How does that remove their free will? God could just remove that desire in the first place. Then how will you know which is good? Okay, you're rage baiting. You're not actually this stupid. Anyways. I wish God would take away me liking the girl that hates me. Yeah, it's almost like, what you desire actually isn't a choice. Contrary to what some fucking retards in chat like to claim. Desire is kind of a necessity. Well, the desire for some things, yes. But if you desire things that are bad, then that's obviously going to cause more harm than good. But if you're an all-powerful God, you could just make it so that people don't desire the bad things. So, I don't understand. Nobody chooses what they desire. It's a choice when you know acts are evil. Yeah, that doesn't negate what I just said, which is that God can make it so that you don't have the desire to do the bad thing in the first place, you fucking retard. Holy shit, you're actually brain dead. And you know what? You want to know who suffers the consequences of pedophiles having a desire to fuck kids? The kids that get raped. They suffer the consequences. But God could just simply remove that desire, and guess what? The bad thing doesn't happen, and the kids don't suffer. Why is it the case that he would choose not to do that? Again, we already established why it wouldn't be a negation of free will. You and I don't have the desire to fuck kids, and we have free will according to you. So why would it be any different? You're fucking adorable when you rage on retards. It's not meant to be adorable. You keep saying net neutral and shit, and better and worse. Literally, no answer. Better based on what? Based on positive and negative qualia, you retard? Do I need to explain what qualia is? So qualia is going to be, qualitative subjective experiences, right? So if we're talking about a net neutral, that's going to be something equivalent to not experiencing anything at all. I already explained this, dipshit. And anything that's preferable to that is going to be a net positive. Anything that is dispreferable to that is going to be a net negative. Are you following along now? Holy shit. I can't deal with low IQ shit. You don't understand anything, God. Did Tob say anything about him? Yeah, okay, dude. You keep blaming God. Keep saying, why does he make them desire bad stuff? You clearly haven't read the Bible. That's not an answer to the question I asked. Notice that you're not answering the question because you don't have an answer. Take some accountability for yourself. Notice how you're still not answering the question. Answer the question, retard. Don't respond unless you can answer the question I asked. Anyways. Femyoz raging is the hottest thing I will see today. No, it's not supposed to. It's not supposed to be hot. Goddess denying God peaks to. Okay, dude. Question, can you forgive? Yeah, of course I can. What is your question? If it's the case that, say for instance, you and I not having the desire to murder innocent people, if that's not a negation of our free will, then why is it the case that God would make it so that other people desire to murder innocent people? He could just make them not like that. That wouldn't be a negation of their free will, because we already established that people that don't have that desire have free will. You and I have free will despite not desiring to murder innocent people. So that couldn't be the case. So why does he have them have that desire? If God is real, he's objectively evil. True. Anyways. Read the Bible and you'll get it. I've read parts of the Bible and it's all a bunch of bullshit. The Bible does not make the Bible look good. It's got some very disturbing verses, such as Deuteronomy 22, 28, 29, which basically says that if a woman or girl, meaning a child, who is a virgin and single, gets raped, she is forced to marry her rapist as a punishment to the rapist, a quote-unquote punishment. But the only person that's actually getting punished there is the rape victim. That's a real thing in the Bible. You can look it up. Deuteronomy 22, 28, 29. So, no, telling me to read the Bible is not very smart, because the more you read the Bible, the more you start to understand how fucking retarded it is. In fact, it almost requires that you don't read the Bible to believe in that shit. The less you read the Bible, the more plausible it is. The more you read it, the less plausible it gets. The Tri-Omni God is a logical contradiction. Lol, wait till you hear about Islam. When have I ever defended Islam? Islam is also fucking outrageous. The Prophet Muhammad is a pedophile. He raped a 9-year-old. But you can't condemn Islam while supporting something that's just as bad as Islam. Like, why would you do this, like, whataboutism with Islam as if I believe any of that shit? I think all of it is retarded. I think all of it is stupid. It sounds like you've cherry-picked and not read the Bible in its entirety. Oh, right, because the rest of the Bible magically justifies forcing rape victims to marry their rapists. Of course, of course. Well, you see, forcing rape victims to marry their rapists, even if the rape victim is a child and the rapist is a 40-year-old man, that's actually justified so long as you read the rest of the Bible. Islam is outrageous, which is why you look dumb? When did I claim that Islam wasn't outrageous? I think that Islam and Christianity are two ends of the same coin. They're very much not the same. They literally are. You're just biased in favor of one and against the other. But any rational actor can see that they're the same fucking thing. Anyways. Infinite punishment for finite actions isn't justice. It's vengeance dressed up as theology. True. Unironically true. It's also a scare tactic, really. Anyways. Can we ban these Bible phone numbers, Laval? It's getting old and it's not even Femyoz's fault. If they're getting repetitive, if they're making points that I've already debunked, then yeah, mods can ban them. Here, I'll give AK mod. If people are getting repetitive, then yeah, you can like 24-hour them. Lol, based off the Bible, I turned to Christianity this year because of Islam. Some of us actually read. Wait, you turned to Christianity because Islam is wrong? Wait, you think that Islam being wrong gives credence to Christianity? Are you fucking retarded? You know that both of them can be wrong simultaneously, fucking moron. Like, how am I meant to deal with these low IQ fucking subhuman freaks? Oh my god. No, you said that, dumbass? What are we talking about? I said that both religions are fucking stupid. They're two ends of the same coin. Anyways. How do I dislike this? Triple tap. That's right. Double tap to like, triple tap to dislike. I simply turned because of the violence, beheading, and rape of kids / women. Yeah. Yeah, and that's reasonable. But there's like a lot of that shit in the Bible too. So while it is true that Islam is fucking terrible, Christianity is also fucking terrible. You just moved from one terrible religion to another, and you don't even realize it. Maybe you'll realize it eventually. You're not going to figure it out from me, clearly. I'm not going to be the one to convince you. But, oh well, I guess. Oh fucking well, dude. Anyways. Where was I? Blurry camera? Oh. Oh, over here. Did I fix it? I think that should have fixed it. Do you believe in God? No. You won't convince anyone because you're talking out of your ass. No, all the arguments I've made are completely illogical. Everything I've stated is an empirically correct fact. I view religion as the precursor to philosophy, TBH. I think that religion will eventually be left behind in favor of reading secular works instead. Yeah, that's my hope. Born a female, you'll die a female? Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yep, I was born a female and will die a female.
Yo, very true, very true. You're so right. Yo, let's fucking go, dude. Let's fucking go.
Anyways. Accidental ally? No, literally. No, you will never be a man. Thank you. I agree. Your voice is soothing, mommy. Oh gosh, it's so you're telling me as I pass. Thank you, thank you. Very much appreciated. Anyways. You have to incorrect yourself. You're so dumb. You're so dumb. Anyways. What about the rest of the chapter that actually talks about rape and the victim being blameless, but the man being persecuted justly? Yeah, that doesn't negate the fact that the rape victim is still forced to marry the rapist. That doesn't change that. Holy shit. Well, it's actually fine that the rape victim is forced to marry the rapist because it says that they're blameless. So it's actually justifiable to do the most inhumane shit ever. As long as I acknowledge that they're not in the wrong. Anyways. That's literally not what it says. It literally does. Deuteronomy 22, 28, 29. Look it up. Anyways. This is the same person that claimed to have a rape fantasy. Yeah. Yeah, fantasy is not the same thing as reality. I don't actually want to be raped. It's like, yeah, when I fantasize about it, it's like a really hot woman doing it to me. I would not want like an ugly man to do it. Does that make sense? And I actually wouldn't want anybody to do it in general. Because at that point, they don't respect me as a person, which is very hot, but I don't want that in reality. That's the whole point of CNC, consensual non-consent, is that it's role play. So, yeah. So you're straight? No, I'm gay. I attract lesbians. Straight women aren't into me. Only gay women. Only gay women like me. Just saying. There's a reason for that. Anyways. So when other children hear you... What do you mean other children? I'm not a fucking child. You think I'm a child? You think I'm a child? So you desire rape. No, I fantasize about it. That doesn't mean I want it. There's a distinction. You can fantasize about something that you don't actually want in reality. You know that, right? Like, I wouldn't actually want that to happen to me. When women have rape fantasies, do you think that they legitimately want to be raped? Do they think that they want you to go up to them and fucking rape them? Do you think that that's what that means? No, it doesn't mean that. It means that they fantasize about some hot guy or some hot woman fucking raping them. You know, somebody that's like a, you know, doing it in a specific way that they fantasize about. They don't want that to happen in real life. Holy shit. Yes, yes. Wait, what is it? What is the yes in response to? Anyways. Let's see. Let's see here. They want it? No, when women get raped, that necessarily indicates that they don't want it. If they wanted it, then it wouldn't be rape. If they were, you know, if they were like, yes, I consent, let's role play not consenting, then yeah, they would want it. But that's not the same thing as rape. Consensual non-consent requires consent. Rape is an attack of a vicious manner, so yes, is a desire and it's bad. No. You're misunderstanding. I don't desire to actually get raped. I have a fantasy about it. There's a difference. Okay? That's like a very femme-brained thing, for the record. That's how you know I'm a real woman. No, I'm just kidding. But, you're really fucked in the head, bro. I'm saying it's bad. But, like, why is it bad? Why is it bad to, like, have a fantasy that, like, for all intents and purposes, you can't actually... Like, I can't actually... you know, get raped without, like, you know, fucking me up mentally. So instead, I roleplay it. Like, why is that bad? Why is that bad? Do you hear the stupid shit you say? I want rape, but then it wouldn't be I want consensual non-consent. Does that help? I don't actually want to be raped. There's a difference between fantasizing about something and actually wanting something. If you can't make that distinction, then you're fucking retarded and have a sub 75 IQ. Yes, I like to pretend I'm being raped. Yes. Yeah, what about it? Yes, that's fun. Because it allows me to indulge in my fantasy without actually being harmed. Holy fuck. Fantasies get worse? What? That's why how people start with voyeur shit and then become pet. That's not how that works. Look, I'm into a lot of stuff, but yeah, no, everything I'm into is consensual. So, yeah. Ironically enough, including rape fantasies. Those are also consensual. Because everything that happens in my head is something that I, in virtue of the fact that I am imagining it, am consenting to it. Unless I have like unless it's like a series of intrusive thoughts or something, in which I get mind raped. But if I'm willingly choosing to fantasize about something, then I am consenting to it. It is a form of consensual non-consent. Similarly, if I roleplay it, same principle applies. It is fundamentally distinct from actual non-consent. The fact that you equate consensual non-consent to child rape is fucking diabolical. Like, two consenting adults doing something, that's the same as violating a child to you? You think that those are the same thing? Really? You are retarded. Exactly, as long as it's consenting adults, who fucking cares? You now became a target of Muslims. Oh no, what are they gonna do? Fucking fly an airplane into my house? I don't give a shit. Jesus. Anyways. Pedos have the same mindset up until they commit the crime? No, they disregard consent. That's the whole reason that they commit the crime is they don't care about consent. They blatantly violate consent, which is the literal opposite of what I advocate for. So no, you're just wrong about that. Femyoz is the advocate for all kinky women out there. Praise queen. Yeah, it's like I just can't imagine equating shit to, you know, things that don't make any sense. Yeah, I don't understand how, like, it's like, okay, so let me get this straight. You're of the position that CNC and violating a child are the same thing. Like, that's fucking crazy. One of those things involves consent. The other does not. Consensual non-consent involves consent. I don't think that... I mean, it's in the fucking name. It literally... The first word in consensual non-consent is consensual. That's the most important... That's the most important part. You can't compare consensual non-consent to actual non-consent. They're not the same fucking thing. Holy shit. I don't know who needs to want to tell you this, but rape is not consensual. Oh my, okay, you're being retarded on purpose. You don't actually... Indulging in rape fantasies with other consenting adults who also want to indulge in said fantasies is not rape. Does that make sense? Does that clear things up for you? Hope that helps. Anyways, do the hair thing again? What hair thing? These people argue legit anything? I think they're being stupid on purpose, which I'm fine with because it gets content out of me. I mean, my goal is to entertain people, but like, I don't know, it gets a little bit repetitive. What? No way, this is an actual... You are retarded, holy shit, you're actually so slow. What is it like to have a sub 70 IQ? What's it like to grow up in fucking remedial classes your entire life? And to sit next to the kid who goes... I don't know. Must suck. Yes, you're retarded. Yeah, these people are terrifying. They have no understanding of consent. Like, that's scary. They need to be kept away from society. If they have no understanding of how consent works, then like... Anyways. Wait, so if two adults dress as minors, you mean age play? Yeah, I don't have a problem with two consenting adults having sex. Yeah, yeah. Wow, you got me. Like, if it's two consenting adults, who cares? The key component is consent, believe it or not. But obviously, you don't care about consent. We need keeping from society? Yes. You're gonna fucking rape somebody. You don't understand consent. You're gonna rape somebody and you're gonna be so stupid you don't even realize it. Anyways. Yeah, we found the fucking short bus kids in chat. Hello, pretty girl. Why hello? Why hello? It's funny how people who say they don't care are writing paragraphs. Rape isn't consensual. Yeah, that's awesome. That doesn't negate anything that I just said. At all. Consensual non-consent is not the same thing as rape, you fucking idiot. Holy shit. This is what I mean when I say, like, you obviously belong in remedial classes, okay? You belong there with the fucking speds, okay? The fucking window lickers, the people that fucking lick their desks. Okay? That's who you're on par with intellectually, okay? Fucking hell. Actually, they intellectually mog you, if anything. Anyways. I don't have a problem with that either, but I think certain types of sex are fundamentally harmful. Well, yeah, obviously, like rape, for instance, is going to be harmful. Like, yeah, anything that's coercive. Anyways. You're obviously unconsensually consenting unconsent. What? I'm so confused. Don't compare disabled people to them? True. The disabled people intellectually mog them, for the record. CNC isn't rape. How is that hard to get? Do they think actors who play killers are murderers? Yeah, probably. Probably. They probably think that fantasizing about murder is the same thing as being a murderer. It's like, no, like, what if I, like, I'm like, yeah, I'd be, like, cool if I was, like, the bad guy in a movie. Pew, pew, pew. You know, I mean, there are kids that do that, right? Like, it's like, yeah, like, sometimes it's, like, fun to, like, play the role of the villain. But it's, like, in your imagination, you wouldn't actually want to kill somebody. Right? You wouldn't say that they're a fucking murderer for that. Anyways. Pretending to act out things that are not acts you support is weird. So like, an actor pretending to murder somebody in a movie is weird. That's weird to you. Okay, dude. All right. That's very different from fantasizing about murder. I've fantasized about murder many times, and at no point have I actually murdered anybody. Believe it or not. There's actually not dead bodies in my freezer. Make sure not to look there, guys. No, but in all seriousness, you can fantasize about something without actually having the desire to do it, or actually acting on it. Right? Yeah, freezer check. No, don't look at my freezer because there's 0 dead bodies, so there's no reason to look there. Like an actor being a murderer? No. That's the distinction. Is they're not actually murdering somebody. They're role playing it. They're role playing murdering somebody. That's what an actor does when they play the bad guy that kills people. They don't actually kill people, believe it or not. They just pretend to. So similarly, you know, in the case of CNC, consensual non-consent, you're not actually, you know, you're not actually getting raped or raping. You're role playing it. You're role playing. There's a distinction. You're pretending. It's pretend. It's fake. It doesn't actually happen in reality. Right? Anyways. Yeah. Yeah, no one gets out of the basement and makes it out alive. Alright. Okay. I need to fucking pee desperately. So I'm gonna play more of my most recent, or second most recent video, because I already... Yeah. I need to pee so fucking bad. Be right back, guys. Enjoy the goy slop.
Just to be able to take my daughter to school on the first day.
Yeah, I could see why that would be fucking annoying. It's like you already have to do all this bullshit. And it's like, yeah, it adds... It's I guess it's insult to injury. Or, yeah, I don't know. Whatever the phrase is. Adding salt to the wound. Alright? It's literally just a way of adding salt to the wound. Like, yeah, it makes it a little bit worse. It's like it's the final nail in the coffin. I think that's reasonable.
An hour or so away from this place. An hour here in an hour.
Yo, all we ever do is complain and whine.
Yeah, I think that she had reasonable things to complain about. Like, what are you talking about?
And this is what's wrong and why I can't do what I want to do.
Yeah, it sounds like she can't. It sounds like her life is very stressful and not fun. She has to work a 9-to-5 job that she hates, that's dead end, that doesn't pay her jack shit. She's barely paying the bills. She has children to raise. Her energy is being sucked out of her on a daily basis. And you're mad about her complaining?
And I can't believe that I actually got to call and check in and tell people that I'm going to be late. That's the courteous thing to do. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, but what about the feelings of the people that exploit you for your labor? What about their feelings? You gotta be courteous to them.
Like, yes, you're supposed to say, "Hey, fam, I'm gonna be late." I do that when it's just me dealing.
What do you mean you do that? You're a YouTuber. What? You don't have a boss. You are your boss. What do? You fucking call yourself? But Femyoz, what if this is actually just like a side hustle and he has a real job outside of this? Well, something I did is I looked at his channel to see, what kind of stuff he posts and how frequently he posts. And if you go to the videos section, he posts a lot of videos. 5 minutes ago, 2 hours. All right, we're back, everybody. We're back, everybody. I hope you're all doing well on this fine whatever today is. I don't know what's going on, but it feels illegal. Damn, that's crazy. Why would it feel illegal? Anyways. Wow, are you really trans? You're gorgeous. Well, thank you, and yes, I am. Anyways. Oh, god damn. Fuck. Sorry, I'm fucking tired. Oh, god damn it. Why do I gotta be so tired? Goals? Group piss is crazy. I don't think a group piss sounds particularly appealing. That sounds fucking horrifying. Ah. Sorry, that seemed quite rude. I think your journey is quite successful. Wait, what was rude? I didn't see it. I guess I left to scroll up. Anyways. Are you one of those alphabet people? I sure am, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop me. That's right. Yeah. Do you ever wear lipstick? Nah, sometimes I wear lip gloss. But no, I'm not much of a lipstick kind of person. I'm more of a lip gloss kind of gal. I don't know. Maybe that's just me personally. It like hydrates my lips and stuff. Why would someone donate to you? Because it makes me happy. And maybe that makes them happy as well. And I read any and all dono messages. And it also helps support me in what I do. And it allows me to make more content. Phone died. What did I miss? Not much. Not much. A lot of my trans friends have obstacles that keep them from being them. Yeah, which sucks. It's, not a great world that we live in. We live in kind of a dog shit society. Wow, I read fanfics. I was then called a rapist. Did you cut off your eggplant yet? Really good questions. Thank you. Great stuff. I'm subscribing. I love the energy and want to show support. Thank you. Very epic, very based. You stream often? I try to. I want to stream every night again, but that's a lot easier said than done. That's a lot easier said than done. Yo, thank you, Eric's, for the $2. Good, beautiful fucking bastard saying she's a 10. Oh, well, thank you. You're glazing. But thank you. I appreciate it nonetheless. Anyways. I'm glad you guys like the energy. I'm glad you guys like the energy. I think that's epic and based. Oh. Why is my... Okay, why doesn't the... Oh, there it is. That's weird as hell. Huh? Why does that show up as... Huh. Okay, my YouTube is broken. It seems. I don't know why my YouTube is broken, but it is. It is broken. Huh. Anyways. Let's go to the live section. Wait, what is this? Oh no, never mind. Oh, fascinating. Okay, that's remonetized. Why is it... What? I'm so confused. Okay. Now they're both green dollar signs. Okay, sorry, I was just looking at something. Anyways, where were we? Energizer bunny energy. Hell yeah. It makes me want to be a girl, so she'll give me a chance. Yo, based. That's so fucking real. That's actually so real. I subscribe, so I'll definitely catch more. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Let's fucking go. I'm simping. Let's go. Yeah, Femyoz is definitely a 10. It's not showing the like button. Double tap to smash like. And that should do it. She's pretty. You guys are way too nice. Anyways. Luigi board. I hate the energy of saying retard. Skill issue. Absolute. Unambiguous skill issue. Anyways. And on this day, the vibes were strange but acceptable. And the people nodded without knowing why. Yeah, why am I suddenly lower energy now? What the fuck? Ayo, at least I made you smile, Femi. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Sending positive energy and vibes. Enjoy the rest of your stream. Thank you. Hey, Femi. Still have me a shaped chair. Oh, a me-shaped chair for sale. She's 6'4" with legs extended full. Ayo. Ayo. I like your eyelashes. Thank you. Is your name actually Femi? No. No, it is not. Pop that P and hands. Okay, what? What am I reading? What are these messages? Clanker. I would never be a clanker. Thank you very much. No thanks. I also like your eyelashes. Can I have them? No, you cannot have them. They're mine. They're my eyelashes. You can't just steal them. They're mine. I own them. I grew them all by myself. Helped me stop wandering around the house, chain smoking at 2 a.m. Thank you, Femyoz. I needed to sit down. You were also pretty like others said. You guys are glazing. You guys are glazing. I swear to God. But thank you. Thank you regardless. Her name is Corpse Guzzler 7213. Yeah, true. That's my legal name, of course. Is your real name Dolores? Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. You're one of my transition goals? Hell yeah. Let's fucking go, dude. Ain't glazing if it's true, but it's not true. Y'all are just glazing. Y'all are glazing. Okay? That's right. Y'all are absolutely glazing. I'm so wet right now. Yo, that's crazy. That's a crazy thing to say. I will say. I'd hit those? Hell yeah. But yeah, anyways, her name is PowerBottom69. Interesting. Really, really good stuff happening on the Femyoz YouTube channel. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Chat, what content do we do? What content do we do? I'm bored. I don't know what to do. What do we do for content? Let's go home. I see a name switcher. Okay, close that. No. Sorry. Are you trans? You better believe I am. I am trans. How did you know? Okay, chat. Is there anyone that you want to like make fun of today? Like, I don't know, like Trumpster Bob. So we haven't checked in on Sabrinatw in a while. Who do we want to talk about? You know, there's like a lot of people. A lot of people that we could, you know, make fun of. Who is live right now? Fucking Destiny. Firebat's live. I don't want to talk about Firebat right now. And plus, we're on good terms. So, there's not much to talk about there. We're gonna collab soon, I guess, is what there would be to talk about. We're gonna do an epic banger stream together. Anyways. We just did Michael Nelson 10. I don't want to... do we have to talk about it again? I don't know. I want to do somebody different. I want to be... Jack Doherty is boring. He's norm slop. Anyways, is it gay for a male to date you? Nah. Let's see here. Gorgeous eyes, thank you. Talk about chopping penis with knives. Will do. Anyways, roast Michael Nelson, old wrinkly ass. I want to check in on Sabrina TW. What's she been up to? Does she still get trolled? Her most recent stream is... Let's see. 2 days ago. 3.5k views. Alright, let's see what this is all about. Alright. Alright, let's find out. What is our good friend, the most beautiful trans woman of all time, Sabrina TW, up to?
Okay.
Okay. Holy fucking background noise. Jesus Christ. It's like she turned everything on in the background, like it's fucking noisy as shit. She's like, we need a, at least like 3 fans in the background, fucking washing machine, the dishwasher. We need as much background noise as possible. What is this? It's so bad. Why is it so fucking loud? Yeah, she lives inside of a literal air fryer.
It was on the 7th.
Well, her eyebrows are horrifically asymmetrical. I assume she's not done yet. She's got to do her other eyebrow horrifically. This is a terrible brow job. Oh my god. This is horrendous.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great, Sabrina. How are you? Dude, what is this?
I don't get how they do this.
What, the eyebrows? Yeah, we can tell you have no idea what you're doing when it comes to, your eyebrows. Why do you position them like that? Your actual eyebrow is sticking out of your fake eyebrow. Like, what the
Hi.
fuck?
You love the nails? Thank you, guys. How you guys doing? Oh, man. I also got like a little bruise from the hair dryer.
Wow. Wow, that's wonderful.
Hi. Hello. Hi, Alex. Hi, Santana.
Dude, she's the most beautiful balding trans woman of all time.
Oh, my top? Thank you.
She actually looks slightly less bald than usual today. Normally she looks more bald. Especially when she has her hair back. Make sure to stay as close to the camera as possible. This is a really good angle. This is riveting content, guys. Really good stuff. Dude, what the fuck is this?
Not really. I don't know if you put me out of my mission. Right? I'm gonna doubt it.
Like, what are we watching? What is this?
You just started, or you're almost out of it, or you're in the middle.
Dear Lord.
I'm trying one of these new eyebrow style pencils because
Wow, I love how your eyebrows look fucking terrible. That's awesome, actually. Yeah, I love how, she gets, like, really close to the camera. That's my favorite part. Why she's so close, it's uncomfortable. I know, it's fucking horrendous. Hello, bearded Viking. Woodworks.
it's like normally,
Dude, you got a verified account. You must have content. Here, let's see what this guy's content is. All right, let's find out. What does their channel have to offer? Surely they've got some content. Okay, they've got 255,000 subscribers. Yeah, 255k. Okay, what kind of content do they do? Okay, so it's a bearded man. He kind of looks like, not Keemstar. He has Keemstar type beard. A little bit of a gnome. I play with my hard. Okay, all right, dude. Okay. You didn't have to say it like that. Jesus Christ. Okay. Build this in 15 minutes. Okay, this doesn't look like anything that would be like, that would fit within the purview of what I cover on YouTube. Wait, let's check the streams. Streams 2 weeks ago. Let's find out. What are your streams like? You also stream to shorts. That's why you're here. I already know it. I need to find out about more short streamers. Okay. Adjusting your hat. Okay. Background noise is a little bit of a nuisance, but not as bad as Sabrina's, thankfully. Holy dead air. Okay. I just realized I can't be like super mean because technically you didn't ask for me to cover your fucking channel. You know, you're kind of being put on the spot a little bit. He had a Charlie Kirk video. Ball, that was a bad stream. Wait, did you had a Charlie Kirk video? I need to know. Okay, we're gonna skip ahead. Dude, we can hear you breathing. Dude, he looks he's barely awake. He's just breathing. He has a stuffy nose. Maybe it's the beard is blocking it, okay? The beard molecules are blocking the oxygen from getting in because there's so much beard. Fast forward, okay.
What just happened?
That's a good question.
Strange things are happening to me. Long time no
That's
see,
true.
Mama. Cub Scout fun. Ooh, hot mama, eh?
Yo, that's fucking diabolical, Jesus Christ. Why is this the first thing? Dude, I'm sorry, but this is anti-Riz. This is anti-Riz. What are we doing here?
Broken fingers. What are you doing here? Thought it was past your bedtime. Happy New Year. Oh, it's a gift. Oh, cool. Yeah, there's a little purple box right there. What? Let's go.
I thought I removed that stream. Apparently not.
I like gifts. Give me gifts.
It's okay. It's okay. It's great content. It's great content.
Oh,
Bro makes my Riz the godly. Yeah, that was. I'm sorry, dude, but that was anti-Riz. That is female repellent in the form of words. I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Gifts. I thought gifts. There was a gift though. A gift came across the screen. It said 2026.
I'm sorry. I'm doing bro dirty. I'm not trying to be.
Did you see it?
I'm trying to be funny, not
that
mean.
I guess that's a gift. Cool. 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 We got the same 32 people that was just over at the other screen. Happy New Year, Jerry Booker.
Okay.
Happy to have you, my brother.
My bad. I don't do many streams. No worries. No worries. All right, we're gonna skip ahead a bit.
It's on back. Yeah, it's on back.
Just pull this fuck out there. Dear Lord.
There's some bullshit.
You just got a skeleton right there. You just good skeleton to grab, just like out of nowhere. Well, why does he have a fucking skeleton? A little skeleton guy? I don't know, but it's there, I guess.
Vapes are really bad for you, my friend. Lost her son. Oh, jeez. Listen. Goodbye. You can leave now.
No, this reminds me of the tomorrow's teachings video, where the one guy's vape just exploded. And then he fucking died. That shit was diabolical. Anyways.
Say bye. 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 I'm a grown-ass man. Thank you very much. I'll do what I please. You don't have to vape. And don't tell me what to do. Thank you. I don't tell you what to do. Don't tell me what to fucking do. Understand me? You overstand me? Please? Thank you very much. God, it's so annoying. I like you too, man. Sorry that your friend.
I'm so embarrassed now. Don't be. I make fun of everyone. Don't worry.
Son died, but I'm not your friend's son. You know what I mean? Yo, you made it to 50 subs. Let's go, bro.
All right. Let's take a look at something else. What should I take a look at? What should I take a look at? What would be like the funniest? Somebody said you did a Charlie Kirk video, so maybe I might disagree with you on that. If you are anything that is defensive of Charlie Kirk, and pretend like he's not a bad person. Oh, okay. Okay. Hashtag Charlie Kirk. Oh no. All right, let's see. Let's find out.
Unless you're living under a rock, then you've heard the news that Charlie Kirk has been murdered.
Ripbozo, Ripbozo, get fucked, get owned.
Violently at a debate. Charlie Kirk was a friend of mine. I didn't agree with him on about 70% of his opinions. However,
But like you knew him personally.
he was gracious and nice enough to have me on his podcast.
Yeah, he also didn't want me to have basic human rights. He was against gender affirming care. Like he wanted to ban gender affirming care nationally, including for adults, meaning that I would be forced to detransition if he had his way.
Podcast back when I was 1 year in on my social media
I'm sorry, but like Charlie Kirk looks like a rapist. He has rapist phrenology.
journey. So
I said I disagreed with a lot of his ideas. Yeah, and that's fair.
for a guy of that stature to just bring in little old me back then and just hear what I had to say and my input on the current subjects of our nation of America, it just tells a lot of his wanting to reach out to those across the aisle. And
Yeah, that doesn't negate the fact that he was against basic human rights. Also, he doesn't actually reach across the aisle. And what I mean by that is he explicitly dodges debates from people that are more skilled than him. He's avoided people like Sam Cedar. You know, the most skilled opponent that he's ever going to go against, that he ever went against was like fucking, I don't know, like Dean Withers, I think. Actually, no, Parker. But like, that's just like some fucking TikTok debater. Like, if the best, most competent debater you're willing to go against is some fucking shitter TikTok debater, who I'm a better debater than Dean Withers. I think I don't know about Parker. Parker might be on the same level as me. Either way, if those are the best debaters that he's willing to go against, then yeah, he's a dog shit debater. He's not actually honest. Or he's not willing to debate anybody. He's willing to debate anybody that he thinks he can beat in a debate. Now, he's incredibly stupid. Or he was incredibly stupid. He's dead now. But he was incredibly stupid. He was not actually, particularly good at debate. He actually found himself losing debates to people like Dean Withers, who are also not good at debate because of how much of a fucking moron he was.
on the same side of the aisle. It's hard to see some of the reactions on certain social media sites. I've seen the comments that say he reaped what he sowed. He said that lives
Yeah, he did.
will be lost to gun violence for our Second Amendment or something like that. But if you want to hold that argument, that's fine, and you're allowed to do so. And I
Okay, alright. At least you're not like moral fagging over it.
understand what you're talking about. I can see where you're coming from. But that was his whole motive, was to just sit with people, younger people in general, and say, talk to me.
Yeah, but his goal was to indoctrinate people. Like, at the end of the day, he explicitly went out of his way to talk to people that were not experienced at debate, that had zero media training, that have never fucking talked about these issues on a public platform in their lives, right? So obviously he's gonna be better at debate than them, because they've never done a debate in their fucking lives, right? Whereas this guy does it for a living. So yeah, of course he's gonna want to, fucking own the libs on college campuses, when it comes to, I don't know, students that have never debated these issues once. Yeah, of course they're gonna be rhetorically ineffective, right? And that makes him look more correct by comparison. When in reality, if he were to even debate somebody like me, I would beat him in a debate. I'm not a particularly good debater, but I know enough, and I've debated enough people to be able to beat somebody like Charlie Kirk, who's a fucking moron, and not rhetorically effective when push comes to shove, and when he's actually given a difficult debate opponent.
And that ultimately cost him his life. It's just truly sad that we've come to this political climate of when you can't win the argument, take the arguer out.
But he was not a good debater. Like, you're acting like he was a good debater. He wasn't. He made the most dog shit arguments imaginable. But there's a reason he avoided people that actually knew how to debate. Why didn't he debate Sam Cedar? It wasn't that Sam Cedar was unwilling.
Literally. And that to me is the ultimate cowardice and just surrender.
No, the ultimate cowardice is not debating Sam Cedar.
If you can't win the argument, take him out. It's just very sad that we had to lose a young father and husband.
No, Charlie Kirk was losing the argument, but he was also spreading propaganda. He was spreading Zionist propaganda, anti-trans propaganda, pro-forced birth propaganda, right? He was in favor of making the world a significantly worse place. Now, do I think that he should have been killed for it? No. I don't think that anybody gained anything from that. All it really did was create a martyr for the right wing to use as a bludgeon. But at the same time, do I feel bad that he's dead? No. Absolutely the fuck not. Expecting me to feel bad about a dead transphobe It's like expecting a Jewish person to feel bad about a dead Nazi. It doesn't make any sense.
Husband and pivotal titan in the political space. No matter
No, he was not rhetorically effective, though. I would understand if you were talking about somebody like, I don't know, who's a good right-wing debater? Andrew Wilson. He's wrong about everything, but he's very good at defending his incorrect positions in the free marketplace of ideas. I would understand if it was somebody like him, right? But no, Charlie Kirk was a dog shit debater.
what side of the aisle you were on. Hold your loved ones tight, because once God calls your number, there are no mulligans. You get no.
Hate to break it to you, but God ain't real. That's my whole argument. He didn't deserve to be shot. Deserve? I wouldn't say he didn't deserve it. That's not my argument. My argument is that it wasn't useful. See, there's a distinction. I don't think that there's much that he wouldn't deserve in the department of bad things that can happen to a person. It's not a matter of whether or not he deserves it or not. It's a matter of whether or not it's useful. Notice the distinction? The reason I'm against it is because it's not useful. Hope that helps.
Do-overs.
Now, granted, I don't even think that whether or not somebody deserves something means that, like, determines whether or not, whether or not it's morally good if the thing they deserve happens. Right? Let's see. Thinking out loud. Here's another one that's related to Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirky.
Now I'm probably
I
going to
simply
ruffle some
disagree, but I respect your opinion enough to not shoot you. Thank you. Thank you for not shooting me. I also don't intend on doing that to you either. I'm glad we agreed to not literally murder each other, but well, that's the thing, is if it was you that had gotten shot, you don't have, like, at least as far as I'm concerned, you have no track record of advocating against me having basic human rights. So yeah, I would be upset about that, right? Even if I disagree with you on some stuff. See, notice the distinction? Not to mention the fact that Charlie Kirk said that the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. So it's like, he was also horrifically racist. So, you know. I feel like if you're that racist, it's like, do you deserve to live? I mean, I don't know.
Now I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers and stir the pot and get some flack for doing this video, but...
No, what I've done is way more controversial. I've said some shit that made people mad when it came to Charlie Kirk.
You know what? I don't give a damn. Hey, y'all. Happy Friday. I've been thinking about this Charlie Kirk thing and why it's been affecting me and a lot of people I know so much.
I don't understand how it could affect you.
Even people that didn't even know the guy.
Yeah, if you don't know the guy, then why do you give a fuck?
Why it's really impacting a lot of people. We all.
It's because that's what, that's what the news outlets, that's what, right-wingers want you to care about. They explicitly want you to care about this issue. So what do? They prop it up. They constantly talk about it. They keep it in the spotlight as much as they can. This is deliberate. This is a decision on their end. Right? That's why you care about it, is because you're told to.
As individual human beings have ideals that are strong opinions, strong beliefs, controversial opinions. Does that mean that if we offend somebody with them, that we deserve to die? To be hunted?
Well, no, it's not a matter of whether or not he was offending people. I just view it in like a purely utilitarian sense. The reason it was not good that he got killed has nothing to do with whether or not he deserved it. It's just, I don't think it's particularly useful, right? Because they were able to use him as like a strategy. Now, granted, given the fact that he is dead, I think that the best strategy from my perspective is just be indifferent to it and just say, well, I don't give a fuck, but the Charlie Kirk memes are really funny, so I'm just going to make fun of him. But
been murdered? I don't think so. And that goes for whether you're left, right, Christian, Muslim, gay, straight, whatever the case. We all have a right to share our beliefs. And I just honestly feel like Charlie Kirk wasn't killed because of the Second Amendment. I feel like he was killed sharing his First Amendment right. Bringing the debate to the college campus. And it's just Wayne.
Yeah, but like he never debated anybody worthwhile.
and really, really heavy on my heart and a lot of my viewers' hearts. A ton of my viewers have been emailing me personally, texting my phone number
Sociopathic, maybe. Fem, why? Because I don't have empathy for somebody that believed that I don't deserve basic human rights. How is that sociopathic? Like, yeah, of course I'm not gonna have empathy for somebody that doesn't deserve it. Like, what are we talking about?
personally asking me my thoughts. And I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do a long form video on my thoughts, my real true thoughts. I think these school shootings are just pure evil. I think the Minnesota assassination.
Yeah, so why is it the case that the whole Charlie Kirk thing was, you know, in the news cycle way the fuck more than, you know, the school shootings where way the fuck more people died? Right? Like, should we care more about the innocent children than the evil, disgusting Zionist grifter?
Assassinations of those lawmakers were vile and disgusting. I believe this Charlie Kirk thing is disgusting and vile, and nobody deserves it. And the stabbings, and, you know, people will turn and say, the guns are the problem, and it's like, not quite. And I'm not here to argue that fact. Everybody has their opinion on the guns. However,
look, all I'm gonna say is, I don't think that Charlie Kirk was the right target. I don't think, because at the end of the day, he's like one of the most replaceable motherfuckers on the face of the earth. He's just a cog in the machine, right? Very, very easily replaceable. Not special in the slightest, right? The best thing to come out of it is Candace Owens creating these deranged conspiracy theories, which help split apart the right. So maybe it's a good thing in retrospect. But I could never have predicted that Candace Owens would completely go off the fucking deep end and start saying that TPUSA ended up creating Charlie Kirk's assassination for speaking out against Israel. Okay, that shit was fucking hilarious. So in a way, it's like part of me is like, well, you know, without it happening, you know, we wouldn't have all this funny shit. So part of me is like, well, you know, maybe it's not, you know, maybe it's not the worst thing ever. Not that I ever thought it was the worst thing ever, but you know, you get what I'm trying to say without, you know, saying it. I totally agree with you on him not being the right target, because now they're saying he's the right Martin Luther King. Like, no, that's not the reason. They would say that about anybody. The reason is just because he didn't have anything particularly, you know, special, right? If it was Trump, you have the figurehead of a populist movement, right? So like if it was Trump before the election, I do think that the Republicans would have lost if the assassination attempt on him had been more successful, right? Hope that helps.
the gun
So there's going to be some instances where it's utility maximizing and other instances in which it's useless.
isn't violent. It's the person with the gun, the person with the knife. If somebody wants you dead, they'll find a way, right? But that can be debated another day. However, what is going on with the celebrating it?
Oh, it's funny. It's funny. It makes me laugh.
This has gone a little bit too far, and it's
Disagree.
really getting kind of scary.
Why would you be scared?
You know, the temperature in this country is just so hot.
Yeah, and who's been raising it the entire time? It's been right-wingers raising it, and then they get mad when we match their energy. It's like, yes, let's ignore all of the instances of right-wingers doing stochastic terrorism, but the one singular instance in which, you know, somebody that's presumably left-leaning does a murder, now suddenly it's time to hyperfixate on that.
But where do you hear that from mainly? Mainly it's from social media or the mainstream media. And I took some time after my live stream tonight to really do some reflecting or just thinking out loud. And I wanted to share my thoughts in real time. No editing, no special effects, none of that. Just raw, guttural from the heart. This is a woodworking channel. However, I'm also a human being, and I'm also an American citizen, and I'm also
Me too.
somebody who cares what happens in public spaces. I have an audience, and I know when it comes to my woodworking stuff that I get critical comments all the time on people's thoughts and opinions on my work, and some of them are hateful and just nasty.
Bro, why would you hate on somebody's fucking woodwork? I don't understand. I don't know, maybe if you're like really passionate about woodworking and it's like doing a shit job, you just really hate how bad somebody is at woodworking. I don't know, that seems like a weird thing to be mad about.
However,
though.
that's okay, because we're allowed to have our separate thoughts on things. So when I weigh and measure differences of opinions on certain things, say political or beliefs, and different opinions on woodworking,
there's really no difference because it's all a difference. It's a difference of opinion. You may love this jewelry box. You may not care about this jewelry box. You may not like this jewelry box, or you may just hate it. And you may want to tell me exactly how you feel. We all have a right to share how we feel about things.
I don't disagree with that.
And I think what bothers me so much about the Charlie Kirk situation is that this man was brave enough to go into the...
He was not brave. He was a cowardly grifter who licked Benjamin Netanyahu's boot for a living. He was a Netanyahu bootlicker. That is the literal fucking opposite of bravery.
These college campuses.
How is he brave debating fucking shitters who have never done a debate in their life and then cowering away from people like Sam Cedar that actually know how to debate? That is the literal fucking opposite of bravery.
And share his thoughts and opinions no matter what you thought about.
He turned on Israel. He did not turn on Israel. Him being wishy-washy is just another sign of him being a grifter. He had been sort of wishy-washy on it, erring on the side of Israel.
But he gave the microphone to the people who disagreed with him first. And for somebody to...
No, he used them for fucking clip farming. Because he knew that they weren't going to be able to adequately defend their positions because they've never debated before. And they're not media trained.
Be that far away and able to just snuff somebody's life out because of a difference of opinion or because he thought what he was saying was hate.
I'm sorry, but being a Nazi isn't a difference in opinion, right? Same line of reasoning goes for, blatant transphobia. Being against people having basic human rights, etc. That's just like a difference in opinion. This framing is just wrong.
Instead of coming down to the microphone and putting up a fight, verbally, ideally, giving his thoughts, his opinions, debating him, which is why Charlie...
Yeah, I would have done that.
Charlie would come to these campuses. I just think that we deserve better as Americans. Nobody deserves to be hunted down and assassinated, regardless of political affiliation.
What about Hitler? What about literally Hitler? I'm not saying Charlie Kirk was Hitler, but hear me out. If somebody killed Hitler, would you be upset about it? No, probably not, right? Because it's like a net positive, right? The way you should be looking at this is this beneficial to society as a whole?
Or not. Charlie was kind enough to have me on his show last year, and that was a year in on my social media journey, and...
Using you for content is not kind. That's not what that means.
Gave me the floor, and pretty much...
Like I wouldn't say that what I'm doing is kind right now. I'm not doing this to be kind to you. I'm doing this because I want content. Now, granted, I'm not being mean to you either, but, I wouldn't say I'm doing this out of kindness. I'm doing this because I like to talk about things.
Let me...
Yeah, I know Charlie wasn't Hitler, but I'm saying that whether or not, the point I'm making is there are going to be some instances in which it is okay to do it, right? There's going to be some threshold, and different people are going to have a different threshold for it, right? And that's the point that I'm trying to get you to understand. I'm not saying that killing Charlie Kirk was net positive. I actually said kind of the opposite. I don't think, if anything, it's close. It's probably a net neutral at this point. I don't think that it's done any good or bad. I think it's just kind of neutral. I don't really think it fucking matters in the grand scheme of things. That's sort of my take on it.
Say my piece, and he always...
If someone killed a baby Hitler, yeah, that'd be a net positive.
He stayed in touch with me from that day on forward.
You'd save millions of lives. Why would that be bad?
And he was such a soft person, such a gentle...
No, he was not soft. He was dishonest and vitriolic.
Giant, if you will. And he didn't deserve to be assassinated in the way that he was. Nobody
deserve. I'm a bit iffy on that.
I don't care who you are, but I think why.
Yeah, the I don't care who you are thing just doesn't add up, because there's gonna be some people where it's it's probably better if they don't exist within society. There has to be some threshold where you say, yeah, this person does not belong in society, right?
It bothers so many people is because this man was a father, a husband, young, successful.
I'm speaking in person. In person, he wasn't doing his whole act. Yeah, but he could be as nice as he wants interpersonally, but that doesn't change the fact that he literally said that, if his own daughter got raped at the age of 9, he would force his 9-year-old daughter to have the rape baby. He's a fucking evil, disgusting, despicable, subhuman freak.
But was actually going out there in the grassroots, on the ground, using his feet and his voice.
Yeah, but he wasn't debating any difficult opponents. And that's by design.
To bring ideas to the market.
It's not to bring ideas. He was doing it very disingenuously. If it was to bring ideas, he would have debated actual fucking debaters. He would have debated exclusively glup shittos.
To the youth, to the population. and literally would pull up a chair, give you a microphone, and say, talk to me. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, only to college students that didn't know how to debate.
And instead of proving him wrong, this person decided that he wasn't brave enough to grab the microphone and debate. He would rather snuff out a precious life.
His life is not precious. Let's be fucking for real.
And, you know, everybody's like, I don't know, you know, everybody's just like saying, well, these people on the left are celebrating this, and this guy was a right winger, and this and that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he was pretty far right in his beliefs, and he shifted the Overton window to the right. So, yeah, I can't be too sad about him not existing anymore. You have a point on who he was debating, but at least he listened and chatted to a normal person. No, he wasn't there to listen. He was there to lecture. Like, yeah, he might, like, pretend to listen, but he's there to fucking own the libs. That's what he's there for. Like, he's never going to actually change his position. He's not going to hear a good argument from the opposing side and be like, that's actually, you know, a good argument. I didn't think about that before. Because at the end of the day, he's not there to change his mind. He's not there to actually, you know, consider, you know, opposing viewpoints, right? Now, you could make the same argument about me when I debate people. It's like, well, it depends on the viewpoint, right? Like, yeah, I'm probably not going to change my position on trans rights, right? I'm probably not going to, you know, switch to the position of actually it's based when people don't have basic human rights. You know, but again, that's going to be a very tough position to sell somebody on. Or at least it should be. If you're rational, it's going to be difficult to be sold on the idea that some people don't deserve basic human rights.
The fact of the matter is, if you just stop for a second and think about it, really, really think about it, the people who are celebrating this are a very, very few, a fringe minority, but they're the loudest because what they're saying in celebration of this is so absurd.
Yeah, but like, it was just like such a fun time. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, when it happened, I was having a blast. You know, there's so many good jokes, so many good memes. You know, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, I guess it's not something that I would have ever advocated for. I would have never said, you should go do this. But it's like, once it happened, it's like, okay, well, fuck, let's have some fun. You know, I don't know. I don't view it as anything other than some harmless fun.
That people feel like they need to share it, and then the evolution of them sharing it.
According to you, basic human rights stops when someone has an opinion you don't like. So what if their opinion is that the Holocaust was based and we should do another one? Like, what are we talking about?
Makes it go viral because more and more people share it. So it seems like this is half of the country celebrating. Let me tell you, it's not.
Boy, I wish it was. I wish it was.
It's a very, very few people. Sick people.
I don't think that you have to be sick to, you know, find it funny. Because objectively, it is funny.
It's confusing.
I'm sorry, but like, if you've seen the original video, you know, in which he gets kirked, that shit's fucking hilarious. I'm sorry. I was fucking dying. Like, people were describing it as like this, like, horrific fucking, like, gory video, and then I watch it and I'm like, this shit's fucking hilarious. Like, what are we talking about? Now, granted, you know, I'm gonna be biased because, you know, when I was a little kid, I saw quite a bit of gore. So, yeah, that's gonna be sort of part of where the bias comes from, but the video was pretty funny.
I don't know. I really wish that we could find better solutions, talk to people more. But I just feel like a part of me is almost...
Yeah, but the issue is that Charlie Kirk was a fucking pussy. He wouldn't debate anybody that's actually worthwhile.
Devastated.
Hell, I doubt he would even be willing to debate somebody like me. Or if he did, he would cut it out, right? If, say, for instance, somebody like me showed up at, you know, whatever college campus he was at, right? And I debate him, I fucking own him. You know, obviously I would record it on my end, but he's either A, gonna dishonestly edit it, right? Which is something that he's known to do. A lot of these people are known to do that. Or B, he's just gonna cut it out entirely. This is something that people at the Daily Wire have done. This is something that Charlie Kirk has done. All of these right-wing influencers that have this shtick have done exactly that.
And although I knew Charlie and could call him a friend, I wasn't super close to Charlie, but the impact of this is just weighing so heavy on me, and I don't know why. And this may not be important to some of y'all, and some of y'all may...
People were traumatized. People were there. I'm sorry, but if you're traumatized over Charlie Kirk dying, even if you see it in person, you're fucking weak. Like, if that's the worst thing you've ever seen, you haven't seen shit. You haven't been through shit. You don't actually have trauma.
Be like, dude, whatever, you're crazy. And y'all all have your opinions, and you're welcome to leave them in the comments.
The shooting and killing was just sad, devastating to his family. The only people I feel bad for in this situation is the kids. The wife doesn't even give a shit. She just started grifting the next day. Like, she just did not care. She just decided, I'm going to capitalize off this as much as possible.
I'll read the comments. I'm not here to respond to these comments. I'll read them. But where has our decency gone? We need to find that common goal, that common...
But there is no common goal. Charlie Kirk does not want me to have basic human rights. There's no common goal. My world and Charlie Kirk's world, in terms of our ideal worlds, are mutually exclusive. I cannot exist within Charlie Kirk's ideal world. I'm not allowed to exist within his ideal world.
Ideal, again, to gather around and come together. Hug your mother, hug your father, hug your brother, hug your sister, hug your loved ones, and just tell them you love them. Go outside and sniff the grass, lick the dirt. Life's too short.
Define basic human rights. Well, one of them would be access to necessary medical care, not being discriminated against based on, who I am as a person. Immutable characteristics such as being trans.
And people are taking politics way too serious. And I wanted to give my thoughts on this because
it's easy to say that, oh, politics ain't that serious, bro. And, a lot of times that might be the case. But, when we're talking about, basic human rights and, things that actually affect me and, it's like, yeah, I mean, you're like a white guy. And, maybe you're disprivileged when it comes to class. I don't know how much money you have. You have a successful YouTube channel. So I'm sure you're well off enough, right? Your channel is a lot larger than mine. But, there are going to be people like me where it's like, oh, okay, the government is explicitly targeting me, trying to take away my rights, trying to make it harder for people like me to get access to HRT. It's not a human right? Yes, it literally is. So what about life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness? Well, if you're a trans person, in order to have that, in order to have a life worth living, in order to have liberty, the liberty to be who you are, and to be able to pursue happiness, you necessarily need the ability to transition. If you are not allowed to transition, then you do not have the ability to pursue happiness. You don't have liberty. I guess maybe you're technically alive, but that doesn't mean anything.
Been asked so much about what my thoughts were, and there you go. But
pursuit of happiness is internal. You can't force that on others. Well, good thing I'm not forcing other people to transition, you fucking moron.
I think the reason why I do my live streams and I am so focused on building this woodworking community is because that's one thing that we can all gather around and come together and have fun with, no matter your race.
Yeah, woodworking is pretty cool, I guess. Anyways. You get the right to try, but no health care. Well, it's obviously going to be implied that, like, within reason, you have the right to life, the ability to, exist, live, etc. Liberty, that means things like, the freedom to transition. That's going to be liberty. That's going to fall under that. Pursuit of happiness. Those are going to be intertwined. It is literally impossible to be happy if you are a trans person that's not allowed to transition. So you are being deprived of your pursuit of happiness because that would be how you would pursue it. And the government is depriving that of you to the benefit of nobody. Nobody benefits from that. Notice how ugly your character is. Why would anyone ever want to fight for your opinions on what constitutes a right? What are we talking about? Like, I'm just, like, objectively right and you're wrong. Like, just because, like, you're mad about it doesn't automatically mean that nobody would fight for my right. There are people that fight for the rights of, people like me. So you're just wrong about that. You're just factually incorrect. Healthcare isn't a right. True. You should just be forced to be sick and die and, get cancer and not have it treated. That's so true. Wonderful society you're advocating for. Talk about facts. I literally am. A small minority? What? Your point being what exactly? Yeah, a small minority of people need slightly different needs. What about it? You don't even know what gender you are? I'm very confident in what gender I am. You're just wrong about that. Violence always usually ends up a core memory. There's just trauma for everyone there. Yeah, no, I don't think that seeing Charlie Kirk die is traumatizing. Again, you're weak as fuck if you think it is. The fight for your rights in the scope of the world. Trans rights mean nothing. Oh, you mean like in other like countries that are like shithole third world countries? Where like nobody has rights? Yeah, obviously in fucking Afghanistan where you know, queer people don't have rights. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a fucking shithole though. Yeah, of course they're going to be shithole countries with shitty governments like Russia and Afghanistan where trans people don't have rights. No fucking shit. And guess what? Those countries are fucking shitholes. No one wants to live there. Hey, don't say that. Those are nice places. Okay, go move to Afghanistan then. Go move to Russia. See how it goes. See how long you last. Go to North Korea. See what it's like. What color are those people? It sounds a bit racist. It's not racist to say that some countries are shitholes. Also, Russians are white, you fucking retard. What are we talking about? What, you think I'm being racist against Russians? You're so fucking dumb. Russia is a third world country. It's a fucking shithole. What are we talking about? Go move to Russia then if you think it's so great. Go move there. Go move to Russia. Go move to Russia, live there for a year, and then come back to me and tell me it's not a fucking shithole. Why is Russia a shithole? Because of the living conditions, the authoritarian laws. It's a fucking dictatorship. Of course it's a fucking shithole. All dictatorships are shitholes. Russia does suck, that's why America's great. It doesn't mean America's great. America is superior to Russia, but that's a really low fucking bar. Russians aren't white, moron. They literally are. They literally are white. Unless you're talking about like really like people that are like Eastern. If you're talking about Eastern Russians, then sure. But, you know. Generally, the Russians that we see in media are Western Russians. People that live on the west side of Russia. Why is that? Because Russia itself is fucking racist. Yeah. I know, crazy. Because they don't want to represent the people that are not white there. Anyways. Never forget, being traumatized is being weak. No, I never said that. I said if you're traumatized by Charlie Kirk's death, you're fucking weak. You've never gone through real adversity in life. You're fucking worthless if you're traumatized by that. You've never gone through anything that's real. You've gone through nothing tangible. You've had no hardships in your own life. If the worst thing that happened to you is Charlie Kirk dying, you've had too easy of a life. Well, my life is not going to be as easy as people who have the worst part of their life being Charlie Kirk's death. I think that's fair to say. Yo, thank you, Joe Rogers, for the 2 saying you're cute. Why, thank you. Anyways, I don't know why we got fucking Russian defenders in chat. It's kind of crazy. Go fucking move there. Go move there. Join the Russian military if you love it so much. Fucking hell. Kirk dying was just meme fuel? No, literally. Like, anyone that views it as anything else is fucking sensitive as shit. I'm sorry. Actually, Russia's the most inclusive societies, you stupid shit. They only care about the state's power, not the people's race. You're so stupid. Dude, what are we talking about? In Russia, if you're gay, they will literally fucking kill you. They will kill you if they find out you're gay. It is a shithole. It is a shithole country. It is a dog shit place to live. The living conditions are terrible for the average person. It doesn't make America number one, for the record. It just means that Russia is like, you know, number 170. Holy fuck. Have you ever been to Russia? No, but I know what the laws are like because, you know, they're publicly available. You can fucking look them up. It's a dictatorship. I've been to Russia. It's a really beautiful place to live. What you mean to tell me is, like, there's a few, you know, areas that aren't fucking shitholes if you're rich. And those areas aren't too bad. You know, if you're on vacation or some shit and you're rich, yeah, maybe. Maybe. But if you're not rich, if you have the, you know, a normal person amount of money, then yeah, it's a fucking shithole. What country is number one to you then? I don't know. Probably one of the Nordic countries, honestly. Just based on their economic systems. But given the type of healthcare that we have, the lack thereof, it would be foolish to say that America is number one. I don't buy it. But yeah. Like, you'll notice the economies are better, the prison systems are better, etc. But yeah, anyways. US is def number one. Holy shit, you're brainwashed. Country like France or Belgium might be the best. I don't know. Anyways. I'm gonna end stream. Love y'all. And goodbye. Hope y'all enjoyed your stay.